Nailed it.
Now.
Nailed it. I got most of that. Let's see if I can do any better.
Let me clear my throat.
Yeah. Good morning. What's happening?
Chewy got me in a good mood.
Somebody get Matt some hot tea or something. I don't know.
Chamomile?
Give him some chamomile, something. How you doing? It's Mornings with Matt and Bob, powered by Chewy. It's slick out there.
Slick Rick.
It's not stopping people from trying to run you over, though. Good morning. Let's do today's starting lineup so you know the players taking the field. If you're new to town, you just discovered us, welcome. We're kind of a big deal, but, trying to keep it going. The man straight ahead, wearing my favorite T-shirt, Michael Jackson Moonwalker.
That's right.
Yeah. Oh, yeah.
One of the fans gave me the booklet.
What? You got the booklet, too?
Yeah, it didn't come with the CD,
brochure or whatever?
He gave me the book, yeah.
The program, as it were? Mm-hmm. He's the hardest working man in show business, ladies and gentlemen. Why do I say that? Well, he does it all. He does so many things. He is our foundation of he's the foundation of the Matt and Bob Nation. Takes your phone calls, keeps the levels right, does the podcast, puts up the reruns, hires the interns, fires the interns, then rehires the interns, and fires them again. Ladies and gentlemen, heavyweight champ in every aspect of his life. He loves a good food truck, and he loves the ring. He'll knock you out, ladies. Say hello to the incomparable Mr. Chewy Eldorado right here.
I do love a good food truck. Thank you, Garbo's, last night.
Yeah, right on. We'll get to that in a second. You hold your horses. The man to my right. Chewy's ahead of us. The man to my right. Former star of weekly television, a sitcom. Situational comedy. There's only 22 basic situational comedy plots that they've rerun over the years. Did you know that? There's only so many new ideas out there. This guy's got a lot of them. He's also a stand-up comic, getting ready to get back on the stage here in a few days, and used to be on the road. Used to be a road warrior. Used to fly in, do a show, fly out. All around the country, and before that, he worked on oil rigs, and listen, he's a man's man, all right? He's a guy that you can have a beer with, a real beer, not some kind of low-calorie number. You know what I'm saying? I'm talking about a funky IPA.
Yeah.
Ladies and gentlemen, please say hello to the funky, marvelous Mr. Matt Bearden right here.
Thank you so much. Thank you so much.
Oh, boy.
That guy that started us off, as he's been starting off shows over here for, we're pushing 30-some-odd years, folks. That's just the way it is. Some of you were like, I'm a long-time Austinite. I've been here for 7 years. Guess what? This dude... And amazingly, he's still only 35 years old. I'm not sure how he's doing it, but he's making it work for himself. He's a member of the Texas Radio Hall of Fame. You're watching them tear down the Irwin Center, but guess what? He's one of the guys who built it up.
Man, that was my office in there.
GSD&M,
yeah.
The Fox.
Well, that's not you can drop that off.
I can just keep naming all these things, and I'll tell you what. Do you like Southwest Airlines? You probably wouldn't be here if it wasn't for him. Well, how do you feel about the Chicago Bulls? Because they don't exist without this guy.
That's pretty true.
It is very true. And that's why I'm giving you your accolades. They say give him your flowers. Yeah. This guy would die if you gave him his flowers because he'd be buried in a mountain of petunias. He's Cool Bob, ladies and gentlemen. He's your rock and roll warrior. Ladies and gentlemen, put it together for Mr. Bob.
Thank you. That was a good one, Matt. Thank you very much.
I'm
You fired up?
I'm wound. Well, that was a good track to walk into the studio to.
Oh, what was that anyway? Was that Funky Mark and in the DJ?
It was
Jazzy,
Funky Mark.
Well, whatever. Yeah. Is that LL?
No. It's, I think Bismarcky.
No.
There's Dougie Fresh is on that as well, isn't he?
It's a lot of people.
Circle
That's what
82?
You're maybe just a little bit early. I want to say that's like 85, maybe.
I'm saying 96.
That's
no, you're not.
Really?
Yeah, because it's DJ Cool. Let me clear my throat. Let me see. Because this might be a different mix. Who knows?
Well, anyway.
Who knows?
But that is what New York sounded like in a...
I loved it. I mean, look, they're the originators of hip-hop. So.
Yes, they were.
Yeah, 96.
Wow. I didn't think that old school stuff was going down in 96.
I was 9.
Dang.
Turning up to that. I loved it. I love that the new Ninja Turtles brought that back, too.
Yeah.
They had like all of the kind of older New York vibe.
I think we were all excited about that.
No, you weren't. I'll tell you what you were excited about was to sit down at the Waffle House yesterday.
No.
I can't
appreciate
believe
that
you
Matt
stayed.
picked up the tab.
Thank you, Matt. For
I don't think that we should. I don't think that we should blow out what is the best part of the day.
What?
You don't think that this is the number one story?
By the way,
I think the best part of the day is trying to make it right with a fellow employee.
Oh, okay.
By the way, comedian Shane Mauss, a show favorite, is going to be in studio with us today. Is that still going to happen, you think?
Oh, my God, it is, and I forgot.
Yeah.
There's too much going on
you know, you just wind that guy up and let him go. It'd be good to see him, but stick around for that. I don't know.
Let's see. Let's check
the exact
time.
time.
Let's go back to checking.
These big-time A-list comedians have had a reputation of canceling on us at the last minute lately, but
it's weird because this one was done through a brand new
PR firm or something.
People
wow, he's got people.
Know. Yeah,
Shane Mauss has people.
Oh yeah,
Shane
you know
Mauss.
Shane's big time now, dude.
I know he is. I always thought he was,
but he's gone completely outside of what you would consider to be the stand-up model. He just does these small theaters. He does these talks with professors now. If you don't know Shane Mauss is thoroughly enjoying exploring the world of hallucinogenic drugs.
Psychologically, I guess he's kind of where like Joe Rogan should have gone, I guess, maybe, or should have head toward.
He was telling us about this stuff like 10 years ago.
Longer.
What he was seeing and what to expect.
He got into DMT, right?
Yeah.
For a good while?
Yeah.
And
that was hot. There was an era of DMT where everyone's...
Yeah. He was one of the few guys that could actually explain it, what he was experiencing, in a way that I could kind of grasp. But you can't really experience someone else's experience. But he gets very detailed about what he saw and what he experienced, which is... Most people are just like, oh, man, whoa, yeah, oh, man.
Because those are people that haven't actually done it.
Yeah.
But as much spirituality
He talked about the graphics that he saw, or the visions he saw and things like that.
Even with spirituality involved, isn't he still the one that says, like, at the end of the day, it's just you're just doing drugs?
Yes.
Manipulating the perception, I guess.
Yeah, but he talks about that, like the human experience and how we are constantly searching for stuff. Anyway, he does these very interesting... it's still comedy. I don't know. I mean, he's one of the best comedy writers out there. When he was living here in Austin, he was in Austin for a brief period. I think like 2 years, maybe. Came out of New York, came here, and then he split again. But he would come on Punch and do a half hour of all brand new material. Yeah. He would come back just a very few months later, all new material. Like, he's just a prolific writer about what's going on, and he can put together good stories. Anyway, he's got shows here this weekend at, of all places, Esther's Follies on Sunday, which is not a place where you really see stand-up. But like I said, he has completely gone outside of the model and is doing his own thing, which I roundly applaud. And I just think it's funny, though. Have you guys seen Shane lately?
I have not seen Shane lately. Tell me he has a big wizard beard or something.
You won't recognize him when he comes in here. He has a giant wizard beard.
Oh, I love it.
He really does have a giant wizard beard.
I love it.
Now,
I hope
dude.
he brings a pipe for me to smoke and says, tell me what you see.
He does not look anything. Because remember, he was kind of clean-cut All-American. He has, like, super long hair. He has a giant wizard beard. He looks nothing like he used to
Can we get
look.
him a wizard hat before he gets in here?
Sure. Isn't a wizard hat slang for something?
That's a wizard sleeve.
Oh, sorry, my bad.
It's okay. And why did they need... I guess they have to cast spells. That's why they need the big sleeves.
I don't know why a wizard has such a big, empty, wholesome sleeve like that.
I have no idea. Bob, wizards real or not?
I believe so. I like my favorite wizard's the guy on the inside of Led Zeppelin 4, the Zoso out. He's standing on top of the mountain,
Yeah,
holding that lantern and that sheep herding pole or whatever. Is that what it?
I don't know. I haven't seen that cover.
You've never opened up the cover of Led Zeppelin 4.
I don't think so.
You know, some of those gatefolds, the lantern is yellow and sometimes it's just white. I don't know the difference, but it's very collectible.
Huh. I'll have to take a look at that.
You don't know that wizard? I don't even know if he's a
I only
wizard.
see the guy with the sticks on the front.
That's a different guy. That's not the same guy that's on the inside. Anyway.
Okay.
Yeah, I believe in wizards.
All right.
I believe in magic.
Alchemy?
Not so much. But magic.
It's kind of in the same...
Magic. Alchemy is what? That's like more chemistry, isn't it?
Well, it's also magic. It's not...
I don't even know what we're talking about right now, but I'm looking forward to seeing Shane.
Me too.
Well,
I think I was at odds at him at one point because I'd misinterpreted. I don't remember the situation.
I don't think you could have been at odds with Shane.
Yeah, no, I think I felt like he took a shot at me. I don't know. Was he on the same? Was he on the same
wavelength as you?
Doug Benson thing?
I don't
was he on that panel?
Oh, he could have been. He could have been trying to send you a secret message to help you.
Yeah, I don't know. But then we patched it up really.
He could have made fun of you for not doing drugs. And
he's always had fun with that. He's always had fun with that.
Shane is good at coming into the studio this Thursday. He will arrive around 8:20 today. Here we go.
I like it.
Anything to add? Instructions? Oh, I guess I should have responded to her. He's been here a lot, Sheila. Thank you. I appreciate it, Sheila.
Oh, Sheila.
Maybe
let me love you till the morning.
Hey, what was that song? Was it Hey, Sheila?
Hey.
Oh, Sheila.
There's Sheila.
It is click, click, boom time. We go through the clickbait so you don't have to. And this is the best kind of clickbait, too. This one, I think, is probably run by, like, an advertising company or something. It's kind of genius. Like, there's all these PR companies. You should see our inboxes during South by. The film festival's here. I would get, 60 emails a day saying, hey, do you want to interview somebody about our movie that hasn't been released yet? We don't have any of the stars or the director, but we have like a key grip you can interview. It's just like, no.
Yeah, he wakes up around 1 o'clock in the morning or in the afternoon if you want to tape something with him.
The point was less to try to get an interview and more to try to get it in our heads that this movie existed, really. And when I see this kind of clickbait, I think this is a PR company whose job is to advertise, and they realize, let's put all of the movies where we were being paid to advertise, let's put them all into one clickbait.
Create a list somehow?
Create a list, and then we'll call it, are you ready? The 7 best movies coming out in 2024 that you need to see. Not just the best movies, but these are the ones you need to see.
Look, if it's A24, don't even show me the trailer. I'll just give me the ticket.
So if it's A24, no matter what, you're in.
I'm giving them a shot no matter what because they're the only ones in Hollywood doing something different.
I like that Past Lives. That was pretty good.
Or just a sequel.
I feel like
or
you got to be careful though, because that's how we used to feel about Weinstein.
I know. I think the same thing.
And it turned out that he was doing something different, which was just walking around and grabbing people.
I don't know how you connected Weinstein to this whole thing.
Because that was a boutique-y. It was
because
a boutique studio
you weren't around
too.
for it, but when he first came out with Miramax and
working with Tarantino and stuff like that,
dude, that's where if you saw his name on a movie, you went instantly.
You knew.
That was the OG A24. That's how I connected it. I don't know why you are pushing back.
I
what
guess
are you, a DreamWorks guy or something?
Because I've been watching that HBO doc, and it's...
Of what?
It's messed up. If you're a 90s Nickelodeon kid, it'll be sad to watch a little bit of it.
Oh, man.
During the All That era, Amanda Bynes era.
Well, poor Amanda Bynes.
And Drake and Josh.
I could do an entire 4-hour show over here just talking about Amanda Bynes.
It's crazy.
It's brutal. Anyway, let's get out of that and on to Dune Part 2.
Oh, man, I already took that bait.
Loved it. You loved it, right?
No.
Dune is the most recent adaptation of Frank Everett's
didn't understand it.
Science fiction novel, Science Friction.
I like that.
And I got to tell you what, my wife is really trying to get me to watch Dune 1 and then go see Dune 2.
It's a convoluted...
I don't know why. I have no
Dune.
interest.
She wants to see Timothy Chalamet.
Yeah.
Is it Timothy Chalamet and then the suggestive worms?
Yeah, that's it. Well, it's not even the suggestive worms. It's just that...
They don't even like uncircumcised.
I think my wife wants to try to get inroads with my daughter, and she knows that my daughter's in love with Timothy Chalamet,
You know
so she's like, I'll
she's
take
going
you
to
to
get
that.
3 hours of him. He's in every shot.
Really?
Pretty much.
I don't understand why they keep trying to make this movie. Here's what I've learned.
Will there be a
I didn't
3?
understand it.
Is there going to be a 3, you think?
There's going to be a third. There has to be.
No, there doesn't have to be. I don't think it's greenlit yet, and there was 5 years between the
They'll
first
have
two?
to wait because Zendaya's
4 or 5 years?
Got to shoot Euphoria season 3 now.
That doesn't take that long.
Right. Sydney Sweeney's going to be the star.
And Timothy Chalamet is going to be Bob Dylan in a new movie. So, we got to get that.
Number 2 on the list is Deadpool and Wolverine. That comes out July 26th.
That's what it's called?
Yeah.
There's no need to get creative. It's
I
Deadpool
don't hate
and
it,
Wolverine.
but
A lot of people are saying, hey, how can you do... Because, Deadpool was R-rated, but the Wolverine movies bring in the kids, and they're like, how can you do an R-rated Marvel movie now? But smart people point out,
Deadpool,
if you were really into Wolverine, you're over 18 now.
Wolverine gored people in the comics and stuff. But
Remember, violence isn't R. Suggestive talk and any kind of kissing is R. In our culture, 2 people loving each other is verboten. Slashing people up and shooting them in the face, that's good, clean
every
American
day
fun.
to day. And you get 3 F words. So
what happened to Marvel? You don't hear much about them anymore. I
These
feel
are
like
the
ever
last-
since the Avengers ended, it's like they're struggling. They don't know what to do.
So you didn't hang up the Madam Web poster I got you?
Did anyone see Madam Web?
Let's go to the phones.
Nope. See?
Now, September 6th, I'm excited about this because Bob's told us quite a few times that he has a favorite director out there. He's made it very clear. He went to film school. A lot of people don't know that about Bob, but he went to film school at the University of Texas. And back then, there wasn't even such thing really as film school. It was very rare to find anywhere. And it was very competitive. He got in.
Very competitive.
And so when he's talking about film, remember, he's a learned man.
I'm a 70s child of the 70s films.
And he has certain directors that he absolutely loves. And I think this guy is at the very top of his list. Yeah. You want to take a stab at who it is?
Oh.
Coppola, is he dead?
I don't even know. No, Coppola, I don't know.
No, it's Tim Burton.
Oh, man.
I have a love-hate relationship with Tim Burton.
You got to at least like the Pee Wee Herman.
Yeah, the first Pee Wee Herman was good.
All right.
And don't even talk about Batman. I don't even...
Bob gets really mad, though, like at the scissor hands, and when he thinks... he thinks that Tim is too cute for his own
Nightmare
good.
Before Elm Street, or whatever that one was.
So I guess you must not like Johnny Depp, then.
I'm not a huge Depp fan, and I'm sorry if he's still hanging out for South by Southwest and listening, but I'm not a giant Johnny Depp fan. He's probably a better rock star than...
Well, Tim Burton fans are probably excited. It's been 40 years. It's very unusual to get a sequel 40 years later, but this one is going to star Winona Ryder, Jenna Ortega, Michael Keaton, Catherine O'Hara, and Willem Dafoe.
I just talked about this one last night, Beetlejuice.
It's called Beetlejuice.
They're just out of ideas now.
I got to tell you, this one I'm kind of into. The script is being written by the same showrunners that handled Wednesday. Did you see that show, Wednesday?
Yeah.
The Wednesday Addams?
Yeah.
Plus, you're bringing in Jenna Ortega as Winona Ryder's daughter.
Right.
Perfect.
You've got almost all of the cast coming back.
It's all going to be on the script,
Well, you've got people who've written some pretty good scripts.
Okay.
That Wednesday show,
All right.
pretty fun.
There's nothing wrong with this movie.
Speaking of reboots...
I think this has the potential to be very good. Anyway, it's headed to theaters September 6th.
Speaking of reboots, anybody put any thought behind why they're rebooting Ghostbusters for the 4th time?
I don't even know what it's about. It's like ice.
Like I thought it failed with the other one, and then they did another one.
They brought that one out
They
a
had
year
one
and a half
with
ago.
Paul Rudd, right, or somebody? Who was it?
And you want to know why they're bringing him out? That one made a lot of money.
It did.
And you
I never
think
saw
you're
it.
thinking of you're still using your 70s movie consumer mindset, which is that would only make a movie if it's
quality,
good
yeah.
and there's a reward for the viewer there.
Yeah.
But Hollywood brought in a bunch of
So now it's all about the thumbnails. It's
Yes.
all like just like YouTube. It's just like
Hollywood brought in a bunch of MBAs years ago, and they started playing Moneyball with films, and they said, can we attract enough people to make money? And that's the point. They're no longer into the idea of art or whatever. I think the exception is probably A24, and that's why Chewie gets so excited about it.
because Ghostbusters is like Universal's biggest property, right?
You're asking questions I can't answer.
Well,
I
different
don't-
studios
I don't
have
think
different
so.
properties. Like Planet of the Apes, for some reason, is the biggest 20th Century Fox property. Maybe after Star Wars.
When you say biggest, most popular? They have
that
Jurassic Park
keep,
as well.
They keep pushing. Every 10 years they push out another one in some
Jurassic Park and
because
Fast
new
and
people are
Furious.
being born.
Universal is about catching the series. Fast
Well,
and Furious,
it's a crazy
Jurassic Park,
game.
and the King of King Kongs. Yeah.
Yeah, and then Godzilla seems to be having a resurgence last
They're in
5
Universal,
years or
too.
so. Are they?
Well, we'll get back to the rest of this tomorrow. We have to get to it. I would love to keep stretching this out, guys, but we have a very important story to get to.
Yeah.
That involves Bob Fonseca.
No, it involves all of us.
It involves. Let me just say this.
Mostly Bob.
It's going to happen in 60 seconds, but I don't want you to go anywhere, and that's why I'm going to tell you this. Lubies, part 2. That's what I'm going to tell you, folks.
Thinking the same thing.
Lubies, part 2.
All right, I better take a next Evo then.
You better take a next
before this
Evo.
bit.
Folks, it was amazing. It was so much fun. You could feel the discomfort coming off of Bob yesterday, and I could feel it as we were walking up to the establishment, and he had like his hands in
Yeah,
his
there wasn't
pockets.
enough broken glass in the parking
Waiting
lot.
for y'all to get there, I sat down at the cleanest table. I didn't say clean. I said the cleanest table.
Right.
And
We'll
when
get
she
to the
came
table
by
in
and
a
said,
second.
And
"You
she
mi-" and she said, "You might here. Let me clean that for you." So it was freshly cleaned when y'all sat down.
No, guess what? It was not. It was freshly smudged, but it was not clean, and I don't care.
I loved it.
I loved it too.
First of all, where in the hell were we?
I'm in my comfort zone.
I
We
think
took
it was
all
the
these
best
back
lunch.
roads to get there.
I
and then
believe
we
it was
ended
the
up-
best lunch that I have had with you guys.
Can you tell me what part of town that is?
Yeah.
Don't say the highway number because that's the highway that goes around the city. What we took all these back roads through all the warehouse districts somewhere, and then I ended up.
You have to do that because now
I
that
don't know.
highway has
I don't know
turned
that
into,
part
like,
of town.
into like a big highway.
Where was I?
It was
You
just
were on
290 and Berkman, pretty much.
Yeah,
right?
East 290.
And what do you call that part of town? Does it have a name?
No, it doesn't.
Is that
it's
industrial
the no
park?
man's?
or-
Here's the weird thing. That's a weird section where East Austin ends like a block after I-35.
Yeah.
East Austin just comes to a tight halt there at Springdale, and then it's a no man's land until you get to Manor.
Okay. Because it took me a weird way home too. I had to go around the airport.
Trash Mountains out there.
There's no airport. It's
No, it took me 183 home. which I
Sprinkle
never-
Valley's out there, but there's really not. It's amazing how it's escaped the Austinization of Austin.
Diskers, if you haven't been to Sprinkle Valley, highly recommend.
So how does anyone find this particular restaurant?
When you ask how you find it, I mean, it's literally on a major freeway.
You can see it from the highway.
I know, but we went some convoluted back
When you
way.
say we, you went
I was
that
right
way.
behind you.
I know, but you went that way because your maps told you to go that way.
Yeah.
And so it was keeping you from having to go on the freeway and do a bunch of turnarounds.
I didn't know there was a big Target warehouse out there, too. Did you see that?
We still haven't even named the place yet. We park, and I saw that he did that thing where he didn't want to say, guys, I'm not going in here. So I saw him like kind of pulling up his pants as he walked in. And he goes, I could see it in his face where he was like, okay. And I could tell that he wanted to bail.
I didn't think he was going to sit down.
First of all, I got out of my
Shouldn't
car, and the first thing that happened when I got out of my car is at this restaurant, there's always the same smell in the parking lot. And I know who was responsible for it this time. But the very strong scent of colitas was rising up through the parking lot. So strong, in fact, that I thought you were maybe still in your car smoking.
No, that's something else. That was something else. That was the employees, I think.
Mm-hmm. We walked through the doors, and immediately music is playing, and I was like, oh, sweet. Because the last time I was there was no music, because it's a place where the customers control the music. You have to use
an app.
An app.
Because
And
there's Touch Tone's Jukebox, which I'm familiar
I've never
with. They
seen
have
this
a couple
before.
in Taylor at some bars.
Yeah, and so...
It works out to about a quarter a song, right? It's 4 songs for $1.
Yeah, about that.
They're still who charges for music?
You can get 25 for $5.
Why? Who's staying there that long?
Well, you anywhere you go, there's a Touch Tone, so you get to use them.
I've never seen that before.
I told you to give me 20. And
I
I'll
thought
play
about doing
Creed
a
the whole
review.
time.
The sound wasn't very good.
It was loud.
But my problem is you shouldn't play music because then it cuts down on the conversation you hear in the kitchen. There was a new employee. She was getting yelled at already.
I had my back to the grill, or the flat top, so I couldn't hear a lot of that. But
ladies and gentlemen,
It's my first time, too. My first time here.
I can't believe it was your first time.
it's my first time
I've
ever.
been to a lot of places.
My first time ever at this brand.
Waffle House.
And he doesn't mean that generically. That's the name of it. That's the actual brand is Waffle House.
Did you think you were going to get into a fight?
No, I wasn't worried about that because, I'm heavily armed at all times, but
Right.
I wasn't worried at all. I was worried who was going to pick up the check, but Matt graciously paid for breakfast because it was his suggestion, and I think that's right. I think you're in a situation where someone recommends something.
Remember, this is
Right.
breakfast at 11:30 in the morning. Full breakfast.
They should pick this up.
I made everybody order the All-Star breakfast, which is a waffle, 2 eggs any style, 2 meat products. So you can go sausage, bacon. You can go a slice of ham. That's just one slice. There's also, you can get grits or hash browns.
And they let you know
Toast.
that it's on a special because they have the original price, and then that's crossed out on the menu. And then they tell you what.
If you're a frequent visitor to Waffle House, you know that they've never actually charged $15 for that.
Right.
It's just always...
It's just a marketing ploy to make you feel better.
Go ahead, mark it away.
Make you feel better.
Here's what I'm going to say. For a guy who is like, well, I'm not sure. And when we go to places, like if you'll go somewhere and you'll go, I want one taco. And then you'll eat the meat out of the taco, but you won't even eat the shell.
Right.
Yesterday you ordered
What's it called again?
An all-star breakfast.
Mm-hmm. With hash browns instead of grits, because I don't get grits.
I got video evidence. You had your part. You remember the Clean Plate Club yesterday, my friend.
I think I left a bite of that soggy waffle. Which, by the way, well, I don't know where you want to start. Let me start by
dirty underwear.
Well,
Can
we
we start
we
by?
only have like 3 or 4
Can
minutes.
we start
here.
by sitting down? So the Waffle House, I would imagine, was built sometime originally during the 70s or something like that. Were people just smaller then? Why was that booth so tiny? Did you not feel cramped?
Well, that's why you go to the bar when,
And every breakfast comes on 2 or 3 plates, so there's plates everywhere.
Oh, definitely. Sorry, I had to dump that.
I felt like I had one shoulder smashed against the wall, and I had another shoulder smashed against Matt's shoulder.
I'm sorry. You're accusing me of being fat?
No.
Well, part of that was, too, that I was really leaning into you. I was trying to make you uncomfortable.
It
a house
wasn't
made of
as
waffles.
big on the inside as I had seen in fight videos from Houston. You know?
when
is
you
like-
look at a
this
boxing
waffle-
ring, it looks big, but it's really
Right.
not that big. when
This
you get in
Waffle House looks like you couldn't even have a fight in it.
there. Right.
Because it was so small. And the booth was really tiny. And when the plates came, it was like, my plate was actually in front of you?
Yeah. Thank you for that.
Right. And let's not get to the other. Let's not even talk about the other issue.
my thing is-
the main. Let's not talk
Bob
about. Let's
would
not
not
talk.
shut up about the ants. Okay?
There was nothing but a trail of.
Ants got to eat too.
There was
Yeah.
nothing but a trail of ants that went back and forth. They were marching back and forth on
Let me ask you a question.
the tile that
You ate your entire
shoulder.
breakfast. Was it good?
No.
You don't think the ants feel the same way about how good it is there?
Hash browns, star of the show.
Yep. They were really good.
I got 'em
Hash
loaded
browns, star of the.
and-
Oh no!
No, you got them
it's fine.
smothered.
I don't know why
you got
you would
them
do that.
smothered, covered, and peppered.
Hash browns do fine on their own. You don't need to do what you did to them.
Stop. Did you put ketchup on them?
The least desirable item on the Wham Bam Thank You Ma'am. What is it called? What's the special again?
That's it. The Wham Bam. Thank you, ma'am.
moon-
The
Don't-
All Star.
don't say the waffle.
Okay,
Don't say the waffle.
The least desirable item on the All-Star plate is the namesake
Then
of
tell
the
him-
restaurant, the Waffle House.
Just say extra crispy.
I make a
all you gotta do is say extra on it, and
I
then
make
give
a
it to you that way.
crispier
They
waffle
give you
with-
everything that you want at the Waffle House, and you're bitching and
soggy.
moaning for no reason right now.
It was
not
soggy.
You're not an American.
It was
You're not an American.
My waffle was par cooked. You know what that means, Chewy? You've worked in a restaurant.
Barely cooked?
Yeah.
I don't know
Like,
what
you know,
waffles
throw
are
that in
supposed
a
to be.
toaster.
We
or
ordered
something.
food, and 35
Also-
seconds later it was on the table. You think they
Also-
have time to crisp up a waffle like that?
Also-
It was damn good is what it was. And I didn't see you.
Also-
I see you complaining, but I also saw
Also-
you shoveling food in that pie hole
Also-
of yours.
Once more.
Also on the menu, it looked like a 12-inch. It looked like an album. When you get it on the plate, it's a single. It's a 7-inch.
But now you know how your wife feels.
Yeah.
Hey, 7-inch ain't bad in that department.
And still soft.
40. It's a 40. It's a 45. It was soft and mealy or whatever.
How much syrup did you put on it?
Probably too much.
I put a lot.
I did too, and that butter. And
That's
the
not
thing.
even butter. That's whipped butter product. I don't even know what that is.
When's the last time y'all been to IHOP?
The eggs are okay. We all had them over medium, right?
Dude, mine was so.
What's the other
what I
item
got
to get?
yesterday and the way I
Sausage
ordered
was
it was
tasty,
so
but-
good. Best lunch we've ever had. And
What
we've
I
gone to a
love-
lot of places, and when sometimes we go to fancy places, it was damn good.
Here are
Oh,
my
what?
highlights.
Okay, I'm just saying. Let me just finish by saying
Okay,
a
okay.
waffle shouldn't be the consistency of a pancake, and number two, you shouldn't have a trail. How many ants did I count total over the course
Only
of the?
3.
Let me
Huh?
ask you a question.
No, it was like 9,
Oh.
and they were going right along my shoulder on the edge of the
Let me ask you another question. How many ants did I count?
tile behind the napkin holder.
I'm asking
Maybe-
you a
maybe
question.
you're the
How
Pied
many
Piper
ants?
of
None, because you weren't sitting against the wall.
None, because I didn't want to be bothered by that.
And there was
okay?
a fly. There was a pesky fly.
Did you get bit? Okay. There we go. See? It wasn't a bad experience.
There's a fly. I had to go back to a bunch of other flies and go, oh, there's a pesky complaining radio dude.
My hold on, caller. My highlights. Number 1, she brought out a glass of water, and then immediately went, and then went right back to the kitchen. I wanted to see what was the.
She saw something in there and she took your
Oh,
water.
she did?
Yeah.
Was it, what was it? A roach?
A
I don't care what it was.
dirty glass, maybe.
Yeah, and then the hash browns. I got them smothered,
You got them smothered, covered, and peppered.
Smothered,
I
covered, and
remember.
peppered.
Why would you do that?
but you just look down, and it's just a square piece of cheese on top of
Yeah.
it, and I loved it because that's what I want. That's what I came here for.
that
Caller, why?
A bunch of other flies and go, oh, there's pesky complaining.
That guy just stays. Caller, what's up, Jed?
Guys, my children were raised on Waffle House.
There you go, bub. There you go.
And here's
And they're
got
good.
strong children.
And your kids are good quality Americans, are they not?
They'll never get a disease. I'll tell you that.
Americans and beautiful, and they know how to respect a different culture when they enter Waffle House. Now, number 1, Bob, let me tell you something beautiful about the touch tunes, okay? As you walk in, you can already have it playing. My children and I walk into Harry Belafonte almost every time.
they've got walk-in
Jump
music.
in the line. Jump in line.
Hey.
Just from Beetlejuice, as you know.
Do they have that song on there? The ants go marching.
It's like,
Remember that song when you were a kid?
You can program it before you walk in. My kids literally walk in to their own walk-in music.
Yeah, dude.
Yeah.
That's
The
amazing.
The ants
They're gonna
walked
order.
in.
That's amazing.
I'm playing Shawn Michaels entrance music.
There
when I
was a
go in next
parade
time.
of ants on my right shoulder.
Yeah.
Dude,
what's your order when you go, bro?
Oh, it's always hash brown straight up. I don't even need the bowl or anything. Smothered, covered, peppered, and add gravy on the side, y'all. We don't go for the Waffle House. Same reason we don't go to IHOP for the pancakes.
Thank you.
So
sir.
y'all
I guess he's got it dialed
You're
in.
a true patriot, sir.
You
Thank
are.
I shan't be back.
Yeah, you will. We're
No, I
going there
won't.
once a week.
No.
Once a week.
I won't sit at that booth
Anyway,
unless they
folks,
call ABC Pest Control
back in
or
a bit.
Bobby Jenkins or whoever.
Bobby Jenkins.
We're
You're gonna get Bobby
mornings.
Jenkins over there.
We're mornings with Matt and Bob, and we're powered by Waffle House.
Oh, Austin's own and my friend is the top rock and roll headline. I report the news. That's what I do.
It's Bob Fonseca's
How you doing out there? Oh, yeah, announcer man. You better get that name right. I am Bob. I am Rock's last great reporter. I have the rock and roll news for you. Little bit of a light day, but we're going to get through it. There's some interesting stories, and I might tell you a little something you don't already know about your favorite musical art form. Rock and roll. Rock and roll, baby. That's right. And boy, was I ever surprised when I woke up this morning and checked the wires for all the news stories and noticed that the number one story on just about every news service, my friend, Austin's own, Styx bassist, Ricky Phillips, topping the headlines with his announcement just yesterday that he is departing Styx. After more than 20 years with the band, he's taken a knee. He's got other musical interests, and he's coming off the road. This is his own decision. I don't want you to think that Tommy Shaw gave him the boot or anything like that, because Ricky would have told me when I saw Ricky at Marshall's about a week ago. But he kept that news tight. He knew that I was Rock's last great reporter, and that if he told me that it'd be all over the place. So he didn't tell me that he was going to be leaving the road, but his resume is long and impressive. Ricky's lived here in Austin for many. You may have seen him on the golf courses around town. Prior to joining Tommy Shaw and Styx in 2003 as the bassist and sometimes acoustic guitar player, I think, if I remember the show.
Really?
Yeah, he's a great guitar player.
Is that a little? It's my impression. Do you like it?
That sounded a little more like Eric Johnson than Ricky. He was with the Babies. Remember the Babies?
Sure.
He was with Bad English with Tom Waits. Tom Waits was in Babies, right? But also in Bad... No, who was in Bad English? Neil Schon? I have to look that up. But
You're
Bad
the news
English,
guy, man. Good question, Bob.
He was in Coverdale Page. He was the bass player for David Coverdale and Jimmy Page. That's pretty good work if you can get it. And he's worked with Ted Nugent, who Chewy's going out to see at Buck's Backyard coming up. In a message to fans, the bassist announced he'll be stepping away from the stage. Quote, "My last 20-plus years of touring and recording with my friends in Styx has come to an end. I am taking a break from the road. I'm not retiring, just taking a break. Presently, I've accepted an offer to co-produce a project in a studio close to home." I guess that would be Austin. "I've known since I was a kid that live performance is in my blood. So in time, I will post any future engagements or commitments. But for right now, Melissa," who's this beautiful, beautiful lady, who I've met on a couple of occasions, "I will share coffee and talk and meals from home with our critters close by." That's a great way of looking at life. Ricky Phillips, you deserve a break. You're one of the greats. You can slap the bass like no other, and I'm proud to have you as a friend. And I hope to see you soon at a retail establishment or a coffee shop in Lakeway sometime soon.
You might like this, Bob, but we actually have a response from Ricky Phillips. He wrote into the show.
Oh, really?
And he's got a response about you.
What?
Who?
Oh, come on, Matt.
Oh, man.
Come on.
What?
He invited me to play golf. I guess he knew at the time. He goes, "Hey, you play?" And I go, "Yeah, I have some sticks." And he goes, "Okay, I'll give you a call when I get back into town. We'll play this whatever." And so I think he was giving me hints there that he had time for golf. So we'll see how it goes, Ricky, if you're listening.
We'll see.
Love you, man.
Ricky, don't lose Bob's number.
You're one of Rock's greats. And something he let us in on when we interviewed him here on the show a couple of years ago, just before the pandemic. His sister, his half-sister?
Yeah.
Kathleen Kennedy. You know who she is? She pretty much runs Lucasfilm.
Yeah, buddy. How about that?
She's like the executive producer of everything on Disney, every Star Wars property.
That means both children from that family are wildly successful.
From Mandalorian to Solo. She's the showrunner of all those things.
Dang.
Yeah. That is some pedigree right there.
Yeah.
Okay. All right.
Is she designing the Pixar moms? Because I'd like to shake her hand.
All right. Let's see here. I'm not going to look at the Springsteen set list. There's a story here about the set list and videos from the show, and I'm not going to look at it because I want to be surprised tomorrow when I head out there. This was an interesting story I found. Two of my favorite artists, Huey Lewis and Bob Dylan. This is kind of a Bob Dylan x Huey Lewis story. It's a collab.
Oh, I love those.
Huey Lewis was recently interviewed by, I think, the lovely Jimmy Kimmel. I think, yeah, it was on Jimmy Kimmel, and he was telling a story about how Bob Dylan was a fan when Huey Lewis was in his heyday. Believe it, that seems weird to me, right?
No, it doesn't actually.
But I've heard that about other artists, that Bob Dylan really loves music and he celebrates it, and he was a fan of Huey Lewis in the News.
I think that one album, that sports album or whatever, that had all the hits on it, whatever. Yeah. I think it was fresh and new and exciting and sounded different at the time than anything else and nostalgic. I don't know, because...
Plus, they were in the same room singing solo sections on We Are the World.
Oh, maybe they became buddies there.
But he told a story about how...
So happy to be stuck with you.
Bob Dylan wrote him a song exclusively for Huey Lewis and the News.
And they passed on it?
And it was on a cassette tape, and Huey lost it.
Oh, man. Classic
so
Huey.
maybe somewhere at the bottom of a dump somewhere, or in somebody's junk drawer in the kitchen, is a tape worth a lot of money with an unrecorded Bob Dylan song. I don't think he has. I don't know if he sent me a cassette, Huey said, and a lovely note saying he liked the last record, and here's a song of mine. And not only did I not cut it, I don't actually know where the cassette... Now, how high are you, or how successful are you that you lose a tape that Bob Dylan personally hands to you?
Well, you don't think it's going to be that big, right?
Huh?
I think you're on MTV, and every song that comes off your album is going to the top 10, and if maybe things are confusing. I don't know. I don't know how you lose. I don't know how you don't just shut it all down and say life is over. Bob Dylan just sent me a cassette. We're done.
So Huey says he goes on to say that he has a cassette collection at home, but it has thousands of cassettes in there. So he's pretty sure it's in there somewhere, and he'll find it eventually. I'd get on that.
That's casual.
I'd get on that.
That is a flex. That's how you get a girl to pay attention to you at a bar.
He also said he probably...
She's gonna go, who's Bob Dylan?
He goes, he might have played the tape for his bandmates at one time, but he can't recall. How busy was he that he couldn't remember any of this?
I don't know.
Anyway, he said he's thoroughly embarrassed, and it was a huge mistake. All right, let's see what else we have in the rock and roll news.
Here it comes, ladies and gentlemen. Prepare yourselves.
Yeah.
Pull yourselves up by your bootstraps. Make sure that your airbag is charged, because here comes another one.
There's literally 3 Lenny Kravitz stories in the news today.
Welcome to Bob Fonseca's Lenny Kravitz News, ladies and gentlemen.
Lenny talks Rock Hall nominations. Lenny buys a new mesh shirt.
Oh, I got to see that.
Do you know that he wears those?
Wait, there was one more.
He wears those shirts to church, right?
His daughter. Oh, because they're holy.
That's it, baby.
There was one other. Now
his daughter roasted him at that ceremony.
I can't.
Did she really?
Yeah, Zoe was making fun of him. Just something about mesh shirts and I don't know.
Oh, here's an interesting article.
Wait, a daughter will never just let you have it, will they? Your children will never just let you be cool.
She was good though. It was funny.
All right, come on, load.
God, she's hot.
Oh no, I hate when it does that. But guess what, band? I want you guys to take a guess.
Okay.
And it's pretty easy when you think about it. When you think about all the T-shirts, all the rock T-shirts you've seen.
Right.
What band sells more merch than any other rock band?
Nirvana.
Pink Floyd is what I'd go with.
Ooh, no. Good guess, Matt. Good answer.
Okay, Rolling Stones?
What'd you say? No.
I said
when
Nirvana.
I say it, you're going to go.
AC/DC.
Think Chuck Loesch, our engineer.
Metallica?
No.
Megadeth.
No.
Mastodon?
Iron Maiden.
Well,
doesn't he wear a lot of Iron Maiden shirts?
I've never seen Chuck in an Iron Maiden shirt.
I'm sure
100%.
He respects Iron Maiden.
Who's the character? Eddie? Is it Eddie?
Yeah.
Yeah. Iron Maiden sells more merch than any other band on the road. So
are people bigger fans of Eddie than they are of Iron Maiden?
Also, Metal at Midnight with Chuck.
Could be. I can't name any Iron Maiden songs. But it's not my...
Also Banging at 8 with Johnny Roode.
It's not my wheelhouse. And there's a great video online. I love Mick Jagger for a lot of reasons. He's a fantastic, obviously, front man. Probably the third or fourth best front man in the business.
Is he?
He's a savvy businessman. He's kept the Stones alive for all these years. They could have went the way of the Beatles and got out while they were great, but they still keep pumping out mediocre
Bob likes him because Bob
mid-albums.
wishes he had the balls to wear football pants.
Hackney
around the
Diamonds was
city.
kind of mid, right? It kind of came and went. We don't remember any of the songs on it, but
Wow. Are you angry?
no, I'm not angry.
Don't be angry with me!
But I love the fact that Mick Jagger is not too big to go on Instagram every day and show you parts of his life, the bars he's hanging out with. He loves to put on a baseball cap and just go into a bar as a regular person and not be noticed. And
How brutal is your need for attention that you can be Mick Jagger and you still need this?
yeah.
I don't think he needs the baseball.
I think he has fun going into places as Mick Jagger. Imagine being that famous
And going to Waffle House.
and going to Waffle House and not being recognized because you're wearing a baseball hat or
We
something.
went to Waffle House yesterday and we weren't recognized.
No, we weren't recognized at all. Yesterday,
The ants will
he was
remember
shown on Instagram practicing electric
I
guitar.
don't know
and
anybody else in this town that's registering a 12.2, 2554.
He was playing an electric guitar, practicing for the upcoming Stones tour. And I hope that Mick plays more guitar. Maybe do you think that's a hint that maybe Keith is out? By the way, you call him Keith.
Keith.
It's Keith. That's how the cool kids say it. They're getting ready to kick off their Hackney Diamonds tour in April, and Mick Jagger's been preparing by doing practicing guitar online. It sounds pretty good. He's got those bar chords down. They're gonna tick off the tour. They're gonna kick off the tour April 20th. I can't talk.
It's okay.
Hey, remember
Bob,
when you started the show today?
Hang on, here we go. We have a little thing for you. Ready?
It's okay. Regroup for a second.
They're going to
No
kick
problem.
off the tour April
Go ahead.
28th
Take
in
it again.
Houston, Texas. All right? And I think we should go, Chewy. I think we should go.
All right.
And it's time for Rock and Roll News Junior.
Yeah! Kids! It's your time to shine!
Oh, my God. People ask me all the time, Bob, what is Rock and Roll News Junior? Well, Rock and Roll News Junior are the kids on the way to the dropout zone. I hope they got their raincoats. I hope they got their slickers on. Is that what they call the raincoat?
Yep.
Yeah, they got their slickers on because, and their rain boots because it's kind of nasty out there, a little slick. So be careful getting out of the car. I got the headlines for you, and now the kids.
Give it to us,
What
Bobby.
can I say? You give them the sound effects, Chewy? The kids. Oh, my God. Do the kids love Machine Gun Kelly and Megan
Boy,
Fox?
do they ever.
This is a model.
My.
This is a model relationship for the youth of
Only
America.
slightly below Travis and Taylor.
Now, Machine Gun Kelly and Megan are still together, even though he called off the marriage. I don't think they're engaged anymore.
Well, I mean.
But Machine Gun Kelly recently covered up 90 tattoos. And kids don't get tattoos.
Unless they're cool. And then how can you
Because
resist?
when you regret them, then you have to black them out. Machine Gun Kelly blacked out 90 tattoos on his body with a big black tattoo.
Kids, don't worry about that. Your mom regrets marrying dad, but she still just
Yeah.
sticks with it.
She's still there.
Yep.
Anyway, she said on a podcast that MGK had a special reason for blacking out the tattoos, emotional conflicts associated with his in previous relationships and things like that. He has a really special story behind why he did it, but she really didn't want to share it. But she just said, listen, he didn't like to revisit those memories and some of the tattoos that he had, and he wanted to get rid of them. So that is a cautionary tale to the youth of America, the kids out there on the way to the dropout zone. It's not worth it.
It's not.
It's not worth it.
It's not. Unless, of course, you want to get a Mornings with Matt and Bob powered by
we're
Chewy
100%
Tattoo.
behind
and if
that.
so, we will send you a downloadable PDF file you can take straight to your tattoo artist. Remember, our logo looks incredible on your face, kids.
You'll get
We
a free
are
keychain as well.
100% behind that. All right, it's time for the Rock and Roll News Salute. This one does go out to the kids on the way to the dropout zone. You just got a couple more days this week, and then you're headed to the weekend, all right?
All right.
Just hang in there. You can do it. Stay dry. All right, sing us out, Chewy.
Okay.
I can't wait. to hook up with Ricky, my friend Ricky Phillips, and find the real story behind what's going on there. He deserves a break, and that's the thing about rock and roll. You go until you can't go anymore. And he gave it his all for all the bands that he was in. We'll see him in the VIP, I'm sure. Hey, don't forget, Chewy, I'm not above you. I'm not below you. I'm right here with you, and I'll be back tomorrow with more rock and roll news. Check the clock, Matt.
Back in Mornings with Matt and Bob, Power by Chewy. We are about maybe we'll call it a half hour away from our special guest today, comedian Shane Mauss, who was a frequent guest here for a while. He's moved away from Texas, has made quite a name for himself in the world of the psychonauts, let's call them.
Oh, I like that. Did you make that up?
No, I've seen it other places. But hilarious stand-up comic, but also very smart. But if you are into the world of psychedelics,
Yeah.
you'll particularly enjoy his show. He's going to be hanging out with here. He's one of those guys that we give extra time to, so he's coming in here soon enough. I may have stepped in it yesterday, or maybe one of us did. I don't know. What time does do you usually see, Chewy, do you usually see TJ in the hall around this time? Or is it?
He hasn't come around that much in the last few
No,
No,
he used
y'all
to
don't
pop in
see
here.
him, but he pops in the hall and
Really?
and waves.
Yeah.
But he doesn't want to come in. I don't know if it's y'all.
TJ
if
is,
he doesn't want any smoke from y'all, or
TJ's Todd Jeffries over at KLBJ AM.
I know he gets a long break around now because I still know the breaks over there.
Well, I consider him to be fairly helpful. He's a guy I've seen in the halls over the years. He's been quite kind to me. So I don't want to step in it with him. But I saw him yesterday. He was on the show briefly. He popped in. We joked around. So I saw him after the show, and I go, dude, that was fun. You should come in more. Do one of those quick drop-ins. And he said, I don't think so. But I never can tell when he's
That's
kidding and when
Todd,
he's
though,
not
isn't it?
kidding.
Yeah.
Now, I relayed this to Chewy, and Chewy said, I think he might have been kidding. But he didn't. Usually I can tell because there's a glint in his eye or something.
There's
where
no way to tell. You can't tell. Bob can't tell.
But he just said, he goes, no, I don't think so. It wasn't good for both of us. A little rough.
That's his sarcasm.
I think
I could see him saying that to me with a...
It's a clash of two worlds.
Yeah.
All right? Over there, it's very formulaic, kind of
Well,
type
now
deal.
is
And
that the
then
kind
here-
of thing that he thinks is rough, is that he feels like we're making fun of what he does?
No, but I'm just saying the two personalities, how we're over here really loose and we insult as a fun, homie type thing.
Right.
That's how we all do. Over there, it's more of kind of a, performance kind of
Now,
thing.
you've worked on both shows.
Yeah,
You used to work on Todd's show for a long time, right?
I did.
Were you? Now, what was your official title? Were you producer? Or were you board op? What did they call you over there?
It's called a producer, but, you board up and it's different because we're there in separate rooms. I can see.
Oh, was it different over there because you had to do some work?
Yeah. Yeah, I got, yeah.
You were required to follow through and stuff like that over there?
Yeah. Well, yeah. Yeah, it was a fun experience.
Was it fun?
The calls were interesting.
Was it funny with the calls?
I'm a fan of all experiences, no matter how they are.
Well, anyway, I'm worried, and I've been a little not paranoid. That's a stronger word for it. But I left here feeling pretty good about yesterday's show, and then immediately in the hallway thought, well, did we ever step about? I mean, can we pull up a little bit of what was said yesterday?
Yeah, I can.
You guys want to? You really want to poke the?
I don't think it's poking. I want to hear, because maybe I said something I don't remember in my head.
I don't know why you're taking it upon yourself. Well, because you had the interaction with him afterward. But it seems like if I had that Todd's a guy you can't listen to his words. You have to read his eyes.
His eyes.
You got to look behind and go, oh, he's joke. Because that seems like the sarcastic thing he would say. Like, if you say something's white, he'll say that's a bad analogy. If you say something is a certain way, he'll say it's the other way, just to ruffle your feathers.
Yeah, but
This is what he's talking about.
So I said,
I
you
see
can
him-
usually see the sparkle in his eye. And I'm saying that yesterday I didn't really see the sparkle in his eye, and I feel like maybe he actually felt like, F you guys.
I don't think we were picking on
If
him.
you see him pop in the hall, will you do me a favor? Because Chewy, you couldn't see down the hall. We can't.
Flag him in, wave him in.
Flag him in.
Yeah, I will.
Isn't this usually about the time that he shows up? Play a little bit from
Probably within the
yesterday.
next minute, he'll be getting some coffee in the kitchen.
Okay.
So, but here, I'll play a little bit. Todd, how do you feel about death?
Good, man.
You're good?
It's all good.
Do you fear
What
it?
happens after we die?
Who's out there? Who's that voice?
That's Todd.
Hey, what's up, Toddy?
What's Todd Jeffries from
How you doing, man?
the station that used to be ahead of us but isn't anymore?
Give the drummer.
Oh, is that it?
How you doing?
Was that
The
it?
drummer.
Oh, you're pounding it out.
It could be
What was the
anything.
question? You had a question you wanted to...
Do you fear death?
No.
Heart attack.
It would be my first choice, but no, I don't fear death. No.
What do you fear?
A slow, painful death.
What about immigration? You fear
Immigration?
See, that could have been it. All right, I think he wants
Yeah, but he laughed.
to be one of the boys. I mean, no, I laughed really loud.
Well, come on, man. You have to be aware. I'm very aware, and I think you guys are very aware that. What is that? Him? Oh,
No,
it's Lynn. Is that? I mean, we all know that what we do is us, but then also not us, right?
right.
Like it's radio. It's still radio.
Mm-hmm.
And there is a way to be very successful in talk radio. And if you're not, we're very lucky that we're on a rock station, because otherwise we would probably have bosses saying, here are the things you need to talk about. If you need to ruffle some feathers, that's what gets or you got to be in sports radio, which that's going to be rough. I know
Yeah, but
Sawyer
you gotta
loves it,
look-
but I don't like sports to the level to talk about it for 4 hours a day.
I could never. Maybe boxing,
4 hours of boxing talk
Every
a day.
but I don't know. It's tough to look at it from.
Anyway, I was just teasing because it's like, I mean, it's conservative talk.
He's our boy because
And the big news story yesterday was the SB4 on off. That's what that joke was for. Okay, can we listen a little more?
yeah.
I think what happened really is, now that I heard how loudly you laughed at that,
it was very funny. It was very.
but it felt like you were feeling too much joy, and I think that could be part
That
of the
could
problem.
be it. Yeah.
Yeah.
I do.
Yeah.
You want to check my ID?
I do. I fear immigration.
Yeah.
The reason I fear it is because there's been about a dozen middle schoolers die from fentanyl in this area. That's the reason I fear it.
Dang.
How about you guys?
Hey, we
Does
talk
it-
about rock and
Do
roll.
you guys
over here.
fear it?
No, not at all.
You
don't
ever
fear
think
it?
the Americans
No.
should stop using drugs, and that would
Yes,
stop
absolutely.
the cartel? How would we stop
absolutely.
that?
Absolutely.
Yeah, we don't have those kind of fears over here. We're all about.
Did I go too deep for you
We're
guys?
No, not at all.
No.
No, I think you went too shallow. Yeah, but
See, that could have been it right there too. I think.
Maybe it's 3 against 1, and maybe we should, in future,
So someone take
one
his
of
side.
us should join him.
Yes,
Can't be me, but
I think you might lean a little more his
not at all.
perspective.
No, I
Definitely
like
you
him.
or Bob.
I think we're friends, but
you
I don't-
think Eileen is her perspective?
you or Matt. Yeah,
Why is that?
No, because you're more
you're a traditional,
traditional
conservative
Texas
Republican.
guy.
There is no fentanyl is not
Now
coming
we're gonna
across the
fight.
border via immigration.
Now we're gonna fight.
We know
Wow.
we know from the arrests that are made, and we know from the stops that are made, that fentanyl is coming across the border using mules who are U.S. citizens. We know that. That's what the numbers show.
Right, but the terrorists are still coming over.
No, they're not. That's what I'm saying. Is that I mean, I understand.
I
That's,
saw the 60 Minutes.
I understand that is being used. And there's no part of my brain that doesn't think immigration is a problem. But the problem I think is that we're making immigration too difficult, and that's why we see so much illegal immigration. We should be allowing much larger numbers of immigrants from many more countries. I know that people are going to, on surface, balk at that, but.
It's
guess
an
it
invasion.
depends. I feel like-
It's an invasion.
I feel like it's
every
a
one of
direction.
America's greatest strong moments, early 1900s, 1950s. It's always been when immigration has been up.
Right, but it seems like the immigration has to come in from a direction, like the wind has to come in from a direction that's suitable for everybody.
Well, that's not going to happen.
You know what I mean? Like,
But
it's
we're-
one thing to come to, through the Statue of Liberty, and then everybody's like, yay, and waving flags.
We should be looking at about a 200% increase in the population here if we're going to continue to contend with the rest of the
You
world.
only want them over here because they're going to give Democratic votes.
Well,
because illegals can vote.
Here's the other thing.
They all can vote.
Here's the other thing we
It's
have to
tough
notice.
for the rest of us Americans.
Anybody
go
out
get a
there,
voter.
ask anybody out there who's the kid of parents who worked their ass off to get to this country, ask them how their parents vote, and they will always tell you Republican.
or my parents can't vote.
You come here because you believe in hard work and the ability to make it in the American way, and that you tend to or you're religious, and your values tend to align.
That's
with
true.
The Republican Party.
The difference is Republican Jesus, and then there's Republican Virgin Mary. Like those are the two different idols.
I just got what you were saying. That's pretty good.
Those are just two different idols that they have. That's the only difference, really.
Well, anyway, I have to write an apology. I mean, because like I said, I really was reading from him yesterday that he was, but it's always because he's always teasing. He's a teaser.
He's a teaser.
What he said,
he's a disruptor. He's a teaser.
But here's what upset me is that he said, I don't think it was good. It has to be good for both of us. I don't think it was.
I don't mind not getting into politics with him. I think he's a fun guy.
I tried to engage him. I asked him
how on the air. You have
maybe
to
he's
keep
like,
that.
hey. No, you asked him about. Maybe he thought
I asked
we were
him about music. I asked him about how he relaxes when he's not on 590. I'm trying to get into the man.
Oh, we get it. You're a good guy, and I'm the asshole.
No,
You're trying to say.
I'm not trying to say that.
That's
I'm
what I'm
saying
getting.
that as a team, we're judged as a team. We're rated as a team. I think that we were fair and balanced to Todd yesterday.
Fair and balanced. I like that.
And I think we tried to find out a little bit about the man for our listeners. And I don't have any issues. I don't agree with him. I don't think everything he says he believes. He may disagree with that.
Yeah,
but
I don't think he believes everything he says.
I'm not seeing this in interviews. Just
this is all
the
show.
homie,
I
come
don't
pop in
care
and say
what
hello.
room you're in
that's it,
here.
too.
It's all show business.
Well, if you guys do me a favor, if you see him in the hall,
All right.
let's all be nice. Let's get him back over here
Now let's build a wall.
so we can roast him a little higher.
Lean in now for some thick headlines.
Oh, yeah. Here we go. Finally,
Time for Austin area headlines. The number one headline in the city right now is that I've dropped my readers.
Are they okay?
That's the age I've reached, and so I can't even give you... Oh, there they are. Here we go. Crisis point at the Austin Animal Center. I know a lot of our listeners out there are animal lovers. The Austin Animal Center says it has reached a crisis point and is asking for help finding fosters as of Wednesday morning. That's yesterday. They said they had 300 medium to large dogs. That's 27 more than their limit. They've gone beyond their limit. They're begging. If you're someone who can foster a dog, if you've been thinking about adopting, but I've also got to say this: don't go. Oh, I should just adopt it. Make sure you can
Put some thought
handle
into
a dog.
it,
Don't
yeah.
take a dog that you're going to bring back and stuff like that. You got to know that you can. You know what I mean?
I know.
If you're young, I know sometimes you're like, you know what? I've been sad after a breakup. I need a dog. I'm just going to tell you this right now. And I love you. And it's great to feel like, oh, I want the love of a dog. But sometimes a dog needs a little more than having you at home 1 hour a day, because your life is right now about running the streets, trying to get laid, doing a little cocaine. None of which I judge you for. In fact, a little envious.
Right.
Little envious of your lifestyle. I'm just saying that may not be the lifestyle where you need to have a dog in the house. If you are someone who can take in a foster animal, you can talk to them out there, and they could really use the help, and it would be great. That would be great. We are trying to have a no-kill shelter here. Fostering is a great thing to do. You know, you get to be a part of a dog's part of their adventure and happiness. One of the great things about dogs is, man, they'll kind of get along with anybody. They'll go to your house. They kind of hang out there for a little bit. They don't question what's going on.
Unless you're evil.
And then eventually they'll find a forever home, and then they take off, and you go, hey, I got to be a little part of that dog's memory. Now, here's the one weird thing about dogs. I noticed that when they have these, they never write a biography, and they never give you credit for the time you spent with them.
I have attachment issues. I can't hold on to a dog for.
You can't foster. You're not someone who could foster. You'd want to just keep.
Yeah,
I get that for
I
sure.
couldn't give it away.
Yeah.
So I just don't get into it.
Well, if you want to reach out, you can. They've been doing good work out there, and they just got too many. And let's do it. Let's do it. Let's help out. Austin says it's going to expand its Living Streets program. You've probably seen this around town, especially in the center parts of town, when you're driving through a neighborhood and suddenly the streets are blocked off with a bunch of ugly orange cones. You see a sign that says "Local Traffic Only." You're like, what the hell's that all about? There's about 20 Austin streets that are part of the Living Streets program. It started in 2021 during COVID, really, when people had to hang outside a little more, and people were like, hey, look, Is there a way that we could create more like thoroughfares through our neighborhoods instead of every street being a thoroughfare? I think kind of what started this is there's an app called Waze. I know my old house, when I literally left that house because I started noticing and people were saying, oh, yeah, your street is on Waze now as a great way to cut out 2 or 3 minutes from your
alternate
commute.
route.
Yeah. What would happen, though, is that during the afternoon, people were angry. They're leaving downtown. They're in a hurry to get home.
Mm-hmm.
The speed limit in my neighborhood was 15 miles an hour. And there were people easily going 40 miles an hour down the street, pissed off trying to cut through lights and miss lights. I couldn't have my kids on their bikes.
No.
And I was a little tiny neighborhood. Anyway, these Play Streets programs and the Block Party program. Play Street programs allow residents to block vehicle traffic for up to 3 days a week, up to 12 hours a week. The Block Party program allows residents to close vehicle traffic for up to 24 hours, and the Living Streets also signals to drivers the residents may be congregating in the street and says local traffic only. It's discouraged. It doesn't mean you can't go through them. You could, but they're trying to discourage you cutting through some of these neighborhoods. I don't think it's a bad idea. Some people say, well, we pay for the streets. Look, if you're talking about Hyde Park, those streets were paid for 1 billion years ago, okay? Let those rich people drink their wine. Mm-hmm. I think it's actually good. Having more people out, meeting our neighbors, stuff like that.
Give us more roundabouts.
I think only good can come from it. Actually, more roundabouts is good.
Everywhere, for no reason, too.
God, I want videos so badly filming people going through it. Austinites cannot do a roundabout.
Because they're too small.
That's not a small. The one that's at 51st and I-35.
Make one with no exit.
Go to the ones in London or in Paris.
Troll us and make one with no exit.
I'm supposed to drive my car to London. That's what you want me to do. Drive my car to London, Bob.
On the left side of the road?
There's not enough room to maneuver on those little tiny roundabouts.
An organized criminal enterprise has been busted in Austin. They were tied to fraudulent paper tags and fraudulent inspection stickers. Man, I got to pay for this stuff now? That's BS. Organized crime enterprise accused of cranking out fraudulent vehicle inspections and paper license plates was busted in Austin. They say the state is basically trying to put the brakes on what they call is a years-long problem. At one point, you used to have to get those paper plates from the dealer, right?
Right.
And then at some point, somebody said, well, it'd be easier if we just sent you a document and you printed it out. Well, it turned out to be all kinds of problems because, one, the state, it does not matter what the entity is. We're trying to register my kids for school for next year. Mm-hmm. AISD, I know you've got lots of problems, and a lot of them they aren't manufactured by you. They're manufactured by the state and the federal government. I get it.
We get it.
We don't blame you.
But can't you let some of the kids that are in computer coding classes start coding your websites? Because the company that got the permission, I know that these are ways for people to rip off all of us. You go and you take a state legislator out to dinner, and they go, okay, but you have no experience, or you. The state websites are terrible. They keep sending these PDFs, but most people don't know how to expand the PDF to a proper size. So now you see people driving around with a folded up piece of paper, and the actual plate size is the size of an inspection sticker on the back of their car because they don't know how to print it properly.
Make it a fun midterm project or something.
Something.
Yeah.
Anyway, it has lots of issues, this program does. And one of the problems is that it's really easy. Now, since it doesn't have to be a piece of cardboard or laminated or anything, anybody can kind of print out whatever and hope that it can get through the system. Yeah. Anyway, Travis County Constable's Office, I think, said that they're busted up. So, good news for our friends like Terry at Terry's Burnett Road Inspection. I know a lot of people are like, I don't have to get my car inspected anymore. That's not true. If you were in the city of Austin, you still have to get a smog test or whatever. And we recommend Terry's Burnett Road Inspection.
And place I go.
And I still say go to the I love both of the locations, but I still love the OG where Terry is, which is actually on what? Jim Hogg Lane or something like that.
That's correct.
It's not even on Burnett Road because some developer moved in and cut off his access to Burnett Road. He's right behind there. But if you want to step back in time, in the city,
museum in there.
You go to Terry's Burnett Road and you go, oh, this is did Towns Van Zandt used to sit on this very seat when he got his car
You never
inspected?
know.
Yeah, I
Some
don't,
songs might have been written there.
I don't even have to paint over my check engine light.
And lastly, council members are seeking to change the food truck permitting process. Right now, it's kind of a pain in the ass. I know that for a fact. I have a buddy who, when they were first trying to come out with the permitting process, he was asked, can we use your food truck as the example? He said, sure. They said, well, you need to change this, you need to change this, you need to change this. Did all those things, and the fire department came out for inspection or whatever, and they said, oh, no, all of these things are wrong. He said, but I just spent $3,500 because the city told me to make these changes. And they said, well, you got to spend another $3,500 to change it back. So now he's $7,000 in the hole. And then they still wouldn't give him his permit because they said, oh, it's not right. It's kind of a mess.
What?
The city of Austin, a couple of the city council members are saying, look, we have right now, I saw this number, 1,500 food trucks, mobile food vendors operating within the city. They're not all like they had food truck villages. Some of them go to work sites, things like that. But they're saying, look, right now to inspect, you have to take a day off of work. You have to bring your vehicle to a location. You have to have it inspected. For a lot of these mobile food trucks, they don't have their own engines in them and stuff like that. They have to be towed somewhere. When they're being shaken and shooked, they're so used to being in a permanent location that it can cause a lot of damage, and it causes a lot of financial hardship on these businesses. They're saying, look, we can go and inspect brick and mortars. How are we not getting to a point where we have inspectors that can go to these locations and inspect them? They're looking for a new way to do it. I hope they can figure it out. Co-sponsors of the resolution include council members Chito Vela, Zoe Kadri, and Natasha Harbor-Madison, also Vanessa Fuentes in there as well. And they're saying, look, they want to establish they want to co-sponsor item 33, and the resolution would allow mobile food establishments to opt in to on-site permitting inspections. I don't see the problem with this. I don't see how this would create an issue.
Well, have consistent regulations and consult fire department or whatever else you need to.
That's gotten better. That was 9 years ago or so. That's gotten a little bit better. But we still have to. It is a great way for people to create a living for themselves and their families. I understand that some people who are in the brick and mortar business say, hey, this kind of stinks because we're in brick and mortar and we have to pass a lot more of the inspection stuff than they do. I get that. But you also have the opportunity, there's a much bigger upside. You can make a lot more money in a brick and mortar.
Dine-in people that will continue ordering drinks and what have you.
You have the 360 days a year that you can serve.
Having just the fountain soda drink thing is a win. Because that's a 300% markup. 500 maybe.
Not here to get the syrup for free.
No.
Plus, people are more likely to go to brick and mortar anyway because they can see more booty.
Yeah, that's true.
We'll keep an eye on that for
Make
you,
a
ladies and
brunch.
gentlemen.
That's
we'll keep
where
an eye
it's
on that. Speaking of one restaurant, it's not a food truck, but it is a fantastic restaurant, and it is a place where you can do your duty to your booty.
Thank you. That's
and
right.
Get on out there.
I gotta have you guys out there.
As promised.
Wow, look who's here.
As promised, ladies and gentlemen. A hero to most.
Yeah.
Such a good new look. I told the guys today because I follow along with Shane Mauss on the internets. Especially, he's also a very good friends with one of our old friends here on the show, Mr. Ramin Nazer. And, and they've done so. I've known that Shane Mauss's look has changed a little bit over the last couple of years, but these guys didn't. And I said, "Oh, Shane's going to look a little different when he comes in here." And Chewy said, "Well, he's not gonna have like a big old wizard beard, is he?" And I was like, "He's gonna have a big old wizard beard,
Very good guess.
Yeah,
ZZ Top's new bass player.
Yeah, it's actually this is about as long as it gets. I'm due for a little bit of a trim.
Well, you look fantastic.
You look happy and thin, and well, you've always been thin and tall.
You are a shapely man.
Yeah.
Shane Mauss is a fantastic stand-up comedian. If somehow you've missed him over the years, we'll introduce you to him. A great comic. You can check him out online. Prolific writer. One of the things that I was always impressed about is how quickly he could turn out top quality content.
Yeah, he doesn't rest on the same routine for decade after decade.
But he did something a few years ago, which is, I want to say maybe I don't know if you found a passion, but you certainly found a lane that you could kind of own and command. Is that an okay assessment of of your comedy?
Yeah, I guess about halfway through my career, I started trying to do themed shows and putting science into my act. And then one of those science-themed shows happened to be about psychedelics.
And boy, did the people...
Boy, they latched on to that.
Well, that's
it's
the kind
funny
of...
because when I first put it together, I had no idea there was interest. I'm not like a Burning Man person or anything.
Right.
I had just been tripping by myself for many years and had a lot to say about those experiences. It was like a topic that got brought up on a podcast
right
once years ago, and I was like, oh, people actually care about this.
Well,
you're going where no man has gone before in a lot of respects.
Yeah.
You're
well,
like
more and more
you're like
people
a
are
journalist almost.
More and more people are.
Right, I know,
yeah.
but you're like a journalist. You report from the front.
You brought in,
right?
I mean, 10 years ago, I think, is when I first started working on my first psychedelic show. I always had a few like jokes sprinkled in and stuff, and like no one knew what ayahuasca was back then. Like you really had to be in the know, like 10 years ago. And now it's like, you hear about Aaron Rodgers.
It's like a luxury vacation now. Yeah,
it is weird too how time contracts and expands, and I'm sure you get into that in some of your comedy, but because when you say stuff like 10 years ago, I feel like I met you 5 years ago, which is completely untrue.
Yeah,
it was probably closer to 15 or so. Yeah, I mean, when did you move to Austin originally?
I probably moved out about 12 years.
Around 15 years ago you moved here.
14, 15 years.
So it's right after I guess I had my first kid is when I first met you. You came here from New York.
Something like that. Let's see. It would have been like 2010.
That's so weird to me because I feel like I could reach out and touch when I first met you.
Yeah.
And you get in, I remember one of the first times you were on air. You
came
told us
from Boston, by the way.
Oh, was it? I thought for some reason it was New York.
I always avoided New York and L.A.
Well, and how about this? I know you came from somewhere on the East Coast, and just like all immigrants in Texas are from Mexico, anybody from the East Coast is from New York. How about that?
Yeah.
Does that work?
Well, especially in comedy.
In Texas, we shorthand everything. You originally told us an incredible story one day because somehow acid came up and you're like, because somebody was just like, have you ever done acid? He's like, have I? But you told the story about the time that you drove your car off of a road somewhere was it in Minnesota or Wisconsin? And you drove your car off the road while you were tripping into some
cliff.
into a farmer's property.
Yeah. I landed all four. I was driving on acid. We were supposed to have a designated driver. We got to my car, and
doesn't it suck when you don't have one?
Manual, and I was like, "Well, I feel fine. And so, and they were giving me such a hard time the whole way up these windy roads. I was once we finally just about got to the destination, I was like, I'm gonna give them a scare. I'm gonna give them a little bit of a scare.
Did you gun it?
And I gunned it. And I didn't. And I was in an unfamiliar stretch of the area, and I didn't see that there was a sign that said 25-mile-an-hour turn.
There was a sign that said no acid.
No acid. And it was. I thought it was because we used to like gunning it on the farm roads and go up the hills and get a little bit of air. Yeah. That's all I was.
Did you take out a fence
guys.
Like in the movies? Did you take out a fence?
No.
Over the fence?
Off of a cliff. And I landed. I don't know how I'm alive, and it really wasn't that bad. But it was like a cartoon. We landed, and all four tires just exploded, and both axles just snapped. And just everyone was fine. Just not emotionally or anything.
The car was being dramatic.
It was, we weren't friends after that. That took a little while to repair. Actually, just saw that guy. Yeah.
What's he driving now?
Yeah.
Traumatized.
Yeah. I mean, that was it, because I look back on it. I don't know if kids still do that, but to get away from your parents, that's what you do. You drive around farm roads,
right?
And stuff, which is such a rather than have an awkward conversation with your kids about drugs, rather Instead, tell them never to do them, and so then to get away from you, they just drive around.
Yeah.
doing drugs
It was a different world.
Where I grew up, we had Cutton Road, and Cutten.
Yeah,
and
mine was Shufflebines.
Okay, and so Cutton was one of those roads that, in order to get permission, all the farmers said, "Okay, you can have the very edge in between all of our properties." So it was one of those things that made
right angle.
It was
or
just
like,
hairpin turns the whole way. But there were also a couple areas.
Wait, how were these negotiations? Like the teenagers got together with the farmers, and the farmers were. Is that? I'm sorry, I might be.
No, I'm just saying that Cutton was built at some point, probably in the 1940s or 50s, and it probably was started out as like a dirt road. It was eventually, and there were some neighborhoods back there, but. When we were kids, that was the area because there was enough farmland or wherever where you could find places to hide and you would smoke or drink or whatever.
Lovely story in my head that where like the farmers and the teenagers would get together and negotiate. Like, okay, you can use this area for smoking.
We had
That's what I thought you were saying.
We had one farmer who was right behind a church, and his thing was because a lot of kids would go there, and he knew what we were going there for.
Yeah.
He fed rye.
Wasn't born yesterday.
Well, he fed rye to his cows, and that resulted in something growing naturally all throughout his backyard.
Yeah, right.
So he would see kids all the time, and he would walk out with a gun. And you would freak out a little bit, and you go, I'm just messing with you. He's like, no, you can clear whatever you want to. He said, but don't go over there because don't mess with the cows. He's like, I don't want to. And he's like, and also you're making my dog bark. So
I love gun-based pranks, too.
Yeah, I do, too. It is a very Texas-y kind of thing to scare kids. But he was like, well.
Daniel didn't like it when I scared him on that camp out, though.
No,
remember?
They
when
don't always go well.
They don't always go
It's
well.
not always a
What was
happy
he
ending
on
in
it?
those pranks.
I think he was on mushrooms and you pulled a gun on him. But that
I
was
did
different.
not. I brandished. I lifted up my shirt. That's all I did.
Well,
we were camping. We were camping.
It does things to people. That's the thing. Sometimes when you're on hallucinogenics, people's perception
Sure, it
of
looked
reality
bigger than it actually was because he was stripping on mushrooms.
Yeah, maybe.
I got to ask you, now that's the time you drove off a cliff.
Yeah.
The time you jumped off a cliff.
Yeah.
Were there?
Sober.
Were there? You were sober then.
Yeah. No, I mean, I am a bit of a thrill seeker.
You were hiking with all these back. What do you call those back? Different levels of
Switchbacks.
trails, switchbacks.
Yeah,
And you decided that you could, if I remember the story, that you could just kind of beat the system instead of going and switching back and forth. Just jump to the next level.
It was my birthday.
Okay, well, that makes it right.
Rock climbing
Yeah.
that day. I
Uh-huh.
was like in the best shape of my life and was like rock climbing like crazy.
And you thought, I can
And,
Donkey Kong my way back to the house.
Yeah. And I had there was fires where we were supposed to go rock climbing, and I was like, well, I still want to get my fix.
Yeah, get your steps
some
in.
way. And so I jumped off of. I was trying to take a shortcut and jumped off something and broke both my feet, and one of them exploded.
Yeah. And he broke
Like the car
both
tires.
axles. Yeah. And his ankles aren't
This
really
is
friends
the
with you.
theme.
Yeah. But
The theme here.
we don't have time to get the whole story, but the best part of that story is you describing you still had to get off a mountain. The thing is that people don't know is that when you explode both ankles on a mountain, you still have to get off the mountain, which was you with broken feet.
Well, it was I broke both of my heels. One of them exploded, but the other was just your regular old heel break.
No big deal.
Yeah, and so so the one exploded foot definitely could not use in any way, but the other foot I could use my toes.
Right.
It was just my heel. So I like reverse crab walked like in gym class. You didn't think you were gonna use that skill. And with one set of toes.
Next, you're telling me you've used a recorder to get through a secret passage somewhere.
And
Nothing
no,
in school
it was
now.
like 3 hours. And the most irritating thing was there was a person with me, but it was too difficult. I'd actually been back not too long ago, and I was like, this is crazier than I remember it being. Like I thought I was like embellishing it in my mind, but it was.
In other
it was
words, the
higher,
distance
it
that
was-
you jumped, yeah.
It was both higher than I remembered it being. I thought I was going to get up there and be like, "Oh, this wasn't that big of a deal. What happened here?" No, I was like, "Why did I jump off of it?"
Because you were in the best shape of your life. You decided no problem.
Were you planning on rolling like in the movie? Like, you see these. There's a lot of videos now of these guys.
It was a whole thing. It was actually the person that was with me that wanted to do it. They didn't have as much experience. They had lost a bunch of weight recently, and they were overestimating their abilities. I was concerned.
He was with Al Roker, by the way.
That they were going to roll off of a cliff in front of me, and I was just going to watch my friend die in front of me. I was pretty concerned. In fact, I don't think he would have made it. And so I was like, I'll just.
Hey, guess what? I'm not sure you made it either.
Yeah, exactly. And so I was like, I'll jump down first, and then I'll spot him since he's so committed to doing this. And I even said before I did it, I was like, I could maybe break my heels because I knew I wouldn't be able to roll. And I'd also broken a heel before. I love jumping off of things. Do you know how hard it is to break a heel? The first time I broke a heel, it was the first time the X-ray tech had seen one in the 20 years that they had been an X-ray tech. The second time I broke my heel, it was the first time the X-ray tech, they had been there for like 15 years or something like that, had seen one. And they got to see two that day. Yeah.
What I love is that you really love to educate people, don't you?
Yeah, I really do.
We should say that your stand-up shows you started doing a very unique thing, and this is no offense really to anybody else, but instead of just a collection of jokes that are loosely kind of tied together and make people laugh, you have done this really beautiful thing where there is a little bit of learning and thought and theme going on with the shows that you build now.
Well, it's because I've always just been obsessed with science. I didn't go to college or anything. I was just I had a super religious upbringing that was alienating, and I liked arguing with people. And so I had to learn things along the way just so I could argue better. And then I actually just got genuinely interested in a lot of stuff about how the mind works and whatnot. And I found that to write science jokes, the setups were so long that like the payoffs were just weren't there. And so the only solution that I came up with was having like a themed show where I take a concept like mating behavior or the evolutionary utility of pain or negative emotions or whatever, or psychedelics in the case of my current tour, and set things up that way so that I can set up some concepts and then build on them through a show. So
something I want to say, because I think sometimes people might hear this. Your shows are not a let's shorthand it, a KUT show. It's not a TED Talk, and the one thing that I'm going to give you credit for,
a little self-indulgence.
Well, but here's what I want to. I don't want to chase people off because it's not a lecture. I want to be careful about that.
The other thing is with science is that people always think like I'm going to be making like volcanoes on stage or something like. People hear science and they picture science fairs,
right?
A pointer. Or a laser pointer, maybe
from school. Where like I'm obsessed with like why people spend money in the ways that they do, how the various ways in which, say, evolution or something shaped the mind. Like Texas, for instance, they have. Speaking of guns and kind of. Chest puffing and that sort of they have there's these ideas of cultures of honor which are that if Europeans, if you owned land, it was easier to kind of have law enforcement kind of enforcing things. People aren't going to just like take off with your land,
right?
Whereas if you're a herder, it's very easy for someone to just steal your whole herd. And so people that are herders tend to have a propensity for retaliation. They'll retaliate against being slighted or whatever in a much more extreme way.
We all watch
than
Yellowstone.
most people.
Yeah, we know. Yeah.
So that as a deterrent,
right.
because they were more vulnerable, and then those people ended up moving to the South for herding and stuff way
Those
back
are
when.
Scots. Those are my people. That's
Yeah.
literally the bloodline that I come from. Are people that feel that they've been slighted and now want to shoot somebody.
Yeah. So
now, is that science or
no? Well, they'll
archaeology, or what is that really?
Well, there's a lot of stuff going on there. So they'll test things like they'll literally have actors like walk by someone and intentionally kind of accidentally nudge them with their shoulder and like walk past without apologizing or whatever and see what happens.
I would like to, if you don't mind, can you explain to my wife that I'm not immature in traffic, but that I come from a long line of Scott herders,
exactly.
and that I'm just trying to defend my family's honor because somebody didn't signal. I'm not a bad person, honey.
Yeah, well, you just want to drive as if like, well, that person looks like they're into retribution. I'm not going to cut them off.
Shane Mauss is hanging out with us all morning, and you have opportunities to catch him. Tonight, if you're hearing us in San Antonio, he'll actually
Empire Theater.
Nice. Then he's taking a little break in the weekend. This Sunday and Monday, he'll be at Esther's Follies, which is at the corner of Red River and 6. You have 2 shows on Sunday, one on Monday.
They may be sold out already. So we added the Monday show. I think there's still a few tickets.
We're going to pull it up and make sure. But, God, that's got to be nice to be like,
nice,
come on radio, but I don't have to. It's already sold out. I'm a genius. It all works out pretty nicely. But we're hanging out all morning. Shane's one of my favorite guys to watch.
I would have been coming in here without a show to do. It's so lovely.
Well,
to see you guys.
I think all 3 of us love talking with you because you are very down there. It's been too long. Let us make a little bit of money because as much as we would love to
make money.
Yeah, let's make some money and then we'll get back. We're back in Mornings with Matt and Bob, powered by Chewy. Remember, anytime you hear stuff on the show you might like, you might get a little extra on the Instagram. Matt and Bob FM. Matt and Bob FM. We've got Big Al's drip check from yesterday, and we will be putting up the
brackets.
The brackets from the Music Melee will be going up there. We're a little bit behind, as we always are, because of a work ethic. I think is really what it comes down to. Can I say that honestly, Bob? Or does that sound bad? I feel like honesty has always been a really good policy over here, and just letting know
we're not going to gaslight you.
Yeah, we're not going to let you know that yesterday, when we should have been building graphics, we went to Waffle House instead. And guess what? I know that you missed out and you lost, but guess what? We won.
I found 9 new friends?
9 new friends
at the Waffle House.
And Bob found a couple of ants. And he wouldn't shut up about
ants. It was a whole trail on the table.
It's a sign that you've got good real syrup. That's a quality sign is when you see the trail of ants. They're saying, hey, we found something worthwhile here. And it also tells you the restaurant's not covered in a bunch of deadly chemicals.
And if your name is Waffle House, the star of the show should be the waffle, and it's not.
Yeah, but
the star of the show was the hash browns.
But the hash brown house doesn't sound good.
Was mid. It was weak. It was flippy floppy. It had no color on it. Nothing.
Very special guest today.
Sorry,
Shane Mauss is here.
I digress.
Or as everyone loves to call him, Shane Mauss for some reason.
That's how you spell the name, though.
But it doesn't even look. There's an extra S there. There's an extra. It's always looked like Mauss to me.
Germans often pronounce it Mauss. Yeah.
But
I found that out, and I was like, I've been lied to because I've met a couple.
Now, Dead Mouse only has one S at the on his
spell
name.
It the same way, and they pronounce it Mouse.
Also, my junior high theater director was named Kathleen Moss, so spelled the same way. So I guess that's why I've always seen it with you.
See, I always thought it was MOSS. Yeah. Not in your case, but there's Elizabeth Moss, the actor.
Right.
I mean, it's MOSS.
I'm consistently confused by my last name. Yeah.
I will say this: now that you've grown out the luscious locks and the full beard, you're really leaning into some of that ancient Germanic tribe stuff, aren't you? Hey, looking good. We got to start braiding some of that up and putting some bone in there.
I think I'm seeing Birkenstocks too. I'm not sure.
These are Merrills, but I
same
do
thing,
have,
right? Same.
Yeah, I do. Yeah, I'll get down with sandals for sure. Yeah.
Are you?
I like the look.
Yeah, I don't really, but I can't. You can't label, like, you wouldn't consider yourself a hippie, would you?
I have hippie aspects. I don't. Hippies kind of drive me crazy. Like the Burning Man crowd. Like I like. I like a party and I like art and everything, but I definitely don't. I'm not on that mystical side.
Do you know? You don't listen to any King Gizzard and the Wizard Lizards or anything like that, or Grateful Dead, or
funny you say. My girlfriend just introduced me to them recently.
Hey, they're good.
So,
you'll go broke because they put a record out every day. But
I do find myself dating hippies.
Right. Oh, okay.
So I don't know. So
you
I'm
have
not,
hippie appeal.
Yeah. You also have college professor appeal, and you mentioned earlier that you skipped school.
Yeah.
Do you ever
put on a corduroy jacket with patches on the elbows? Pull off the
do you ever put out an ad for interns and have sex with them? Do you do any of the college professor things?
Oh man, I haven't yet.
Would you have liked to have gone to school, or was it just not a good fit for you? Is it too constricting?
I was terrible in school. I was terrible about homework and everything else. But
do you think that's a result of the fact? I mean, you come off as a very you're intellectual.
Yeah,
you're smart.
Thanks. I
do dumb stuff like drive cars off cliffs, but
it is like there's a weird like what is smart, because it's like I certainly don't have the best judgment.
Okay,
in the world.
But I think, don't you think that's one of the things that luckily makes you special? Because for a lot of kids, if they are brighter, they're taught very early. It's so precious to these teachers to have somebody do well academically that they confine you into a bunch of rules because they want you to take a certain path. You had this very religious constricting, but it's almost like squeezing a watermelon seed. You popped out the other side with an immense amount of speed, and you were like, I'm going to do all of it today.
Yeah, I think that I think that colleges select for conscientiousness probably more than anything these days. Of just the ability to deliver homework on
the
time.
Ability to sit and listen and deliver and do
be organized.
They almost seem to dislike the idea of new ideas and craziness and pushing back and argue.
Yeah, I don't know. I mean, I definitely, when I talk with scientists, I love talking with scientists. I love hearing all about their research and what it means. When I hear about like what actually goes into science, which is like grant writing and like tedious, just all sorts of tedious things.
If you want to be a scientist, what you're really saying is, I want to look for money for the rest of my life.
Yeah.
And occasionally work maybe one or two months a year.
It's
brutal.
Definitely the way that like scientists are made to look on the movies. Like I have never.
It doesn't exist.
Once, I mean, I've probably been to about 400 different people's offices, and I've never seen like the crazy like erase boards with the theorems
the
of the like,
formulas
solving the thing that makes it. They're just working
beakers.
on infinite energy or whatever like that. It's never anything like that. It's usually like finding like some peculiar niche, and you'll find something like the hair cells that degenerate. The reason why we lose our hearing is because these hair cells they get damaged and they don't regenerate. Well, fish hair cells do regenerate. So scientists will dedicate their life to being like, well, would there be a way to use epigenetics or something like that to change something so that you could get our hair cells to regenerate, to restore hearing? That's about as exciting as science. Like, oh my gosh, you could cure deafness. That person, actually, that person working on that, they get $8,000 a year in funding.
That's a lot of money to have sex. It's a lot of money to have sex with fish, though, when you think about it.
That's a steal.
Yeah, I mean, that's pretty good. Speaking of things not looking necessarily the way they do, as they're presented to us, you have recently found yourself into something that has become very hot on TikTok and Instagram and all that, and that is van life.
Van life. Yeah.
Oh, yeah. No, I went back and forth.
For people who may not be familiar, there's this whole thing you can put in hashtag van life. There are all these young people. I suspect that some of them come from good money.
Yeah.
Because sometimes I see these in these Sprinter vans. It's just incredible. And every morning they're popping the doors open and it overlooks the Pacific Ocean. And
they're having a cup of coffee.
They make their own espresso and they're just like, and you're like, oh my God, it's endless joy and calm and peace.
These were people that tiny homes were too big for.
Right.
Yeah.
And they had to
what
downsize.
They're showing us a quality reflection of what van life is.
Well, I'm also on tour, so like it depends on the day.
Okay.
Like I just had to rip apart everything to find a few novel things for a tech setup that I haven't used. My current show, I have a live VJ video jockey that provides like real time visuals. So I have all venues with like large screens and everything, and there's visuals happening through the whole
psychedelics
show, kind of
and oil lamps
representing,
ding,
you know.
ding, 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 ding.
So if I'm talking about say doing too much acid and driving off of a cliff or something like that, there's art that's curated for that. It's kind of all blended together in a fun way.
Now, can we start with the model of your van? Because I'm already on sites.
Yeah, it's a 2019 Freightliner Sprinter.
Okay, and please tell me there's an acoustic guitar leaning against the cabinet in there. Please
How
tell
furry
me.
is it inside?
Please tell me.
What's that?
How furry is it inside? You got
Oh, yeah,
It's
the
got
carpet
like
going up the walls?
No, it's got like a adorable like wood paneling ceiling.
I was going to ask because
and I can stand in it.
Now, here's
and
the thing.
I'm kind of if I have my man bun in, I can't stand.
There's a thing about because you're very tall.
I'm like 6'3" and a half.
Okay.
And so the ceiling must be like I must have about exactly 6'4" of clearance.
And remember, Chewy too. This is not like the shag carpeted van, custom Chevy vans.
I like those.
This is the Sprinter van. This is Mercedes generally is building them, and then they're tall, kind of a box. But that's the top of the line when you talk to about van life. That's kind of, and the thing is, I think
great.
of you as a guy who could probably get away with just driving around the country in a Corolla. Was there a woman involved in you choosing a Sprinter van with adorable paneling?
Well, it's been something I've been wanting to do for a while, and yes, both. I mean, in 2019, I decided that I was like, I'm going to stop. I'm just so sick of flying. I'm going to see if I can just organize my tours so I can just drive 3 hours to the next city. And I love a good 3 hour drive. I like being in new cities. And I loved it so much so that my New Year's resolution in 2020 was I was like, I am going to work no more than 3 weeks at a comedy club this year.
Okay.
And that
Wait a minute,
came
then
true.
COVID happened 2 weeks, 2 months later.
Congratulations, you achieved the
Wow.
dream.
Yeah,
Manifested.
So sorry about that monkey's paw situation, everyone. It was my fault. And so it was already at the time I was deciding on was I going to do this with an RV? Was I going to? And then COVID happened, and then I started touring again March of last year. Met a girl who decided to tag along with me in July, and that sped along the process of like, now I need to make this decision.
Right.
So we went, looked at our RVs, bickered about what was important to us. I was like a divider. Like we need like space. We need a wall.
Right.
Like that's what's important to me.
I need to not be able to see you for a little bit. Yeah.
And,
If nothing else, you needed to create a fart zone, some kind of privacy. Okay,
absolutely. And I kind of got talked into. I mean, so the RV, parking it in cities and everything is a thing. And then and they aren't made very well. They're very expensive with upkeep. They're all like made custom. They fall apart really easily. Like getting a window replaced, if you get like a window chipped in an RV, that's like $8,000 or something, and you're just never, that window's never going to be the same. It's all bent out of shape, and there's air getting in and everything. Like I knew that too, so I was like,
And converted old school bus was a little too on brand for that beard and hair look.
Yeah. And my main thing, I thought what I wanted was just shelves. Just get a FedEx style, and just be able to have a ton of stuff with me, so I can have like rock climbing gear and my inflatable paddle boards and stuff like that with me. And then
call those toy. What do they call those toy?
The toy hauler, but that's slightly different.
In a way, but that's what do they call those toys, though? The things that you're talking about.
I got so much merch and crap like that it's just like to have everything organized and to have like a closet system and stuff like that was something that was important. And then my girlfriend had a friend that was getting rid of a van, and she was going to let us use it for a month to try it out before buying it. So I was like, all right, I'll rent it from you for a month, and then we'll decide. And I knew within 3 days. I was like,
this is it?
Yeah, this is it. I'm buying it. Yeah, and it's been a major life upgrade. So I had a Toyota Highlander at the time with
practical,
just a decent size SUV, and it had the largest storage unit on top that you can get, all filled to the brim, like all to the ceiling. All of that, everything that I had in there fit under the bed in the Sprinter, and then there's like a whole kitchen and there's
some stretch out room. So are you
it makes for like a nice green room. I don't sleep in it I nap in it very regularly.
Ooh,
I very rarely, maybe once a week, I actually spend the
You're mainly Airbnb-ing and hoteling when you go on the road?
Yeah, and it's only like special situations that I'm like staying in it usually. There's this app.
Is it like when you've learned your lesson and you've taken too much acid and you decided I shouldn't be driving right now?
Well,
it's nap time.
That's nice. If you have some drinks after a show or whatever, I don't have to drive. I can just It's great in that way. It also makes for like a nice green room sometimes.
Right.
If everything's kind of
chaotic and hectic.
Yeah.
And
now, when you're driving around, you want to hunker down. Like, what do you look for in a space, or is it any space?
Well,
where are you looking for? Well-lit parking lots, like a Walmart, where they welcome? Do they welcome? Do places welcome overnight stays in their parking lot, or napping in their parking lot?
So, welcome it? I don't know. I mean, I guess it's just like a cliche that you can do it in Walmart parking lots. I've done that 2 or 3 times now, and it's never been an issue. But I also will just like pull over anytime I feel a little tired and take a nap, and it's never been an issue. Yeah. But I'm also like a dude, like my girlfriend's been in it by herself for like days at a time, where I'm like a little more concerned about her, doing something like that. But there's this app, Harvest Host, where you go on and they'll have there'll be like vineyards and stuff like that just have a dedicated RV spot, or 5 or something like that, and you get it for free, and you like are encouraged to buy a bottle of wine or something like that to support the business. So there's
I gotta say, Harvest Host sounds incredibly granola. Sounds.
It's true. I'm looking at it now.
Its whole, I can almost imagine in my mind what the logo looks like for Harvest Host.
Farms, wineries, breweries, attractions, and more. This is where you can go. 5,000 sites that you can.
They expect you to like kind of solicit their business a little. It's awesome.
Yeah.
It's usually some like pretty cool place. Once I was at a place that was like this circular kind of farming situation, where they also would have they have some dairy there, and they do some like education and tours and stuff. That it's
they have
someone's
ducks and
way into
snails and all this stuff.
sustainability.
Exactly.
Like,
I'm familiar.
Here, you move the chicken coop over here that does this to this thing, and then like I didn't know that llamas kill wolves.
What?
Okay.
Llamas?
Yeah. I didn't know this either. I didn't know that llamas were
They
fish.
keep the llamas as a wolf deterrent because they love to kill wolves. That's something that I learned on a tour. And so you can go and like so I get a free camping spot, and then they're like, hey, for $20 we'll like let you milk a cow in the morning or whatever you want. So I'll do weird because I love like doing weird stuff like that. I did one. It was this beautiful, like, they called it a mill, I guess. It had like this beautiful coffee shop and dairy and everything, and then they had like horseback riding that you could do as well. And I did that, and I'm like, oh, this is a cult. I just stayed with the cult. Like we're talking with the guy. I'm like, oh, they built a cult.
Can I ask you a question? Wait, when they saw you, because and I mean this politely. You look like you could be a cult leader, not a cult member. You really have a glow and an aura, and I feel like you would be the leader of the cult. And I mean that complimentary. You know, you and I go way back, and people would follow you.
Nice.
Purple robes.
Do me a favor. Will you do this with your hand? Will you one time kind of show me? There you go.
You should see the maybe if you come out to see my show in Austin, I'll get dressed up. I wear like crazy fancy like Burning Man-ish type suits and stuff on stage. Because the whole show's a whole visual thing. It started with the residency in Vegas. Have you heard of Area 15 or like Meow Wolf?
Yep, absolutely.
So it started with and I was like, I can't wear regular clothes for
when I'm
Vegas
here.
residency. And so I found some stuff to get kind of dressed up like a psychedelic Willy Wonka or like DMT Jesus of sorts.
Yeah, but why not just go all white robes? Too on point for the cult leader.
Much. I will be wearing a robe. I'm doing McKinney, Texas. Coming up, we found a place, the Courtroom Theater. It's an old courtroom. And we're looking around and we're like, I have to do my psychedelic show
you have
in
to
a place that used to imprison people for psychedelics.
Have you been to McKinney, Texas before?
I think so, yeah.
That's going to be very interesting because you will absolutely have the people who are underground there because it is such a loudly kind of conservative place.
It's
and I don't mean
our specialty.
And I don't mean politically conservative. I mean that kind of oppressive, small towny conservative, rulesy. We know everybody. It's stuff that you kind of grew up with, you know. That's probably why it is your specialty. Is that you like to talk to those folk.
I definitely like going to underserved markets. I like going to places where if the Flaming Lips came through, people would lose their minds, but the Flaming Lips are not coming through.
Right. Okay.
Like that. That's like my target for this particular show. And so,
do you ever get any pushback from places when you go? Do you ever have anybody complain
honestly,
or write about?
More annoyed by people like into psychedelics than people that
can be a. Well, I also don't want to scare off any of your fans, but I will say that we have a lot of fans.
Yeah.
There's probably some crossover in the city like this of people who would like you and us. But I sometimes, I think one of the reasons that you and I got along so much is you were a guy who did DMT, and that was the end of that sentence.
Yeah.
And you would have fun, and you'd have really fun stories. Bob was talking about this morning before you came in that you were so good about relaying stories in the description you were using.
Because I'd never go there. I'll never do it, but I can live vicariously.
Yeah, Bob gets upset because there's 3 ants in a restaurant, and it destroys his afternoon.
But you were very descriptive about some of the experience that you had. I could actually visualize it.
But there's the guy who makes DMT his entire personality.
Yeah.
And that can, and good for him. Everybody should have their space, their lane in life, and they should be able to joyfully live there.
Yeah.
I'm not going to tell somebody that. But sometimes when you're not in that lane,
it
is sometimes hard to it's the same reason that I have a hard time. I can talk to Chewy about disc golf, but I have a harder time talking to disc golf guy.
Yeah.
So there's gatekeepers in psychedelia?
Any culture that's big has annoying.
I'm not going to use gatekeeping, no.
Well, specifically what I was talking about with being annoyed is people that, this is obvious and this is just something that comes along with it. But, I promote a show and 20 people are in my comment section like, hey, can I buy drugs there? Who's going? Well, you just shut up. Like, first off, it's not that hard to get mushrooms these days. Like,
No.
if you want to get, like there are, because of what's going on with California and Colorado and everything.
You mean the liberals?
There's a zillion,
you mean what's going on with these liberals who are destroying our country, the fabric, tearing it apart?
It's exactly
those people. Yes.
Yeah, I mean there are companies that are getting so cavalier now.
Oh my God!
Like you can just go online and you can order mushrooms. I mean that it's not legal, but it's also not necessarily being enforced. It's certainly safer than just sniffing around my show for coming up to me afterward. People will literally come up to me after my show and ask if hey, do you know where to get mushrooms? Like, it's not that hard.
It's just a beard.
Wait, do you think I'm just going around?
It's not that hard. Just spend 30 years developing a comedy career, and then people will offer to it for free if you do the right things. I was going to say, I bet you, how many heavy handshakes do you get per show?
I mean, I try to avoid them as best as I can, but
sometimes you don't know what's coming. Sometimes you don't see it, and the guy hits you in the hand.
Go, whoa! I gotta get it. No, I mean, definitely more psychedelics than in a week. I get offered or handed far more psychedelics than most people would do in a lifetime.
When was the last time you tripped? If I can use that word.
A little while.
Okay. I didn't know if it was last night or...
In all honesty, because this is going to blow his mind, when you say a little while for Shane Mauss, what does that mean?
I think it's been a few months, actually.
So you're doing straight time right now.
You want to know how I met my girlfriend?
But it's just adorable for some, because for a lot of people, a little while, and they go, dude, it's been a while. They'll mean it's been, probably 95, 94, 95. It's been a while. And you're like, dude, it's literally, I've been really good. It's been... I bet it's been since January.
I mean, I force myself to do more psychedelics than I would care to do otherwise, because it's now a part of my job. I need to generate
just trying to be a good employee to yourself.
Yeah, exactly.
It's a tax write-off.
Officer, this is not, you don't understand. I'm not even enjoying this right now. This is for research.
This is...
It's either this or I got to figure out how to grow hair out of a fish. Sir, those are the only options I have.
Here's how I met my girlfriend. Boy, this might be a little bit of a story.
Real quick, as you're getting into that, This is Shane Mauss we're talking to, if you're just joining us. He's a fantastic stand-up comic, and he does a very unique show. The whole show is themed and fantastic. If you happen to be in San Antonio tonight, he'll be there at the Empire Theater, but also, and you can check that out. Everything, tickets and everything are at Shane Mauss.
Yeah, Shane Mauss, MAUSS.com, yeah.
Yeah, and there's also shows... We're lucky enough to get to. There's 2 shows Sunday that are probably sold out, but maybe you can get an individualized ticket here or there. But he's just added a Monday show,
Esther's Follies,
at Esther's Follies at 6th and Red River. And I know what people think when they hear 6th and Red River. They think, oh my God, Dirty 6. Remember, this is Sunday and Monday. These are the nights that's very easy to get down in there, and it's going to be way
right
calmer.
On the edge of the...
it's so much easier, and it's right there by the big convention center parking, and it's catacorner. It's easy. This is easy, and it's a very worthwhile show. Even you don't have to
really like that venue. I always liked that.
You do not have to be into this stuff to enjoy the show. A lot of times, you can come and enjoy this as a gawker as well. And Shane is very good about
more. That happens way more than the first tour the first psychedelic tour that I did, 2016, 2017. It was people that were real enthusiasts.
Right.
Because this was right before Michael Pollan's book, How to Change Your Mind, and all that stuff. Now there's way more people that have never once done a psychedelic that they keep on hearing all the hubbub about
because,
it.
and I want to stress this because one of the things that you do dutifully and beautifully is that you remember at the core you're still a comedian and it is entertainment and you're still very entertaining. People are learning, they're enjoying, but you do not leave audience members out just because they haven't experienced one of these drugs. You still, the punchlines are there, and I'm doing this part because I know that there are people out there that would thoroughly enjoy your show, and I don't want them to be scared off to think, well, I'm not really into DMT, this isn't for me. If you like comedy and you like laughing and you also like going, oh, holy S, I never thought of the world that way, it's a fantastic show for you. So I'm sorry, I just wanted to put that plug in there because it's been a bit, but I want to also hear about this girlfriend.
So she's a co-founder of the Psychedelic Assembly, which is New York.
I like that. You got a really good laugh out of Bob on that one.
I know.
What are the odds? What are the odds?
So
do you know that years ago Ralphie May gave a joint of Ralphie May's weed
It was stinky.
to Bob, and Bob wrapped it up in foil, and then he locked it away in a safe, like a gun safe at his house.
It was actually in a guitar case.
And we were just like, dude, are you ever going to smoke that? And he goes, well, I will eventually. Like, it's for a special occasion. I was like, so you have like 15-year-old weed. I was like, I don't know how well that's going to work. He's like, no, I got it from Ralphie. It's special. Maybe if somebody comes over the house, we'll break it out. I was like, you're never breaking that out, dude. You're never I think Ralphie enjoyed giving it to you, but that's who Bob is. Bob's a lockdown guy. He's a control guy.
I don't care for weed myself.
But see, you found some common interest.
I got a lot of
Yeah. So the Psychedelic Assembly is the first. You're right to laugh. It's the first brick and mortar psychedelic library and social space. It's in New York City. I know this is all hilarious. So
You were at a church service there.
So it's there. It's between like Rockefeller Center and the UN. It's this.
Do not lick the walls.
Delightful kind of. They have a lot of talks and things like that. I was going through New York for my warm-up tour for this show.
I do love that the plug beforehand was like, you don't have to be in this stuff to enjoy the like this. He's regular guy here. Yes. Anyway, I met this girl at the Psychedelic Assembly, the first brick and mortar library dedicated.
Yeah, they reached out
licking
to me
blotter
when they saw
paper.
that I was going and doing my warm-up tour, and I was like, oh yeah, okay, that seems like a fit, you know.
Yeah, right.
And they happen to have like a apartment for people coming through that you could rent or whatever for a cheap daily rate. And I was like, oh, cool. I'll stay there. And I meet these two and, my eventual girlfriend, very attractive lady and everything.
There is an incredible thing about this culture, and it really does. It really attracts the attractive ladies.
Oh, well, it's because if you're a super hot girl, then you're like the world is very magical.
Yeah,
and so
that's true.
And so you get into it's like they're into manifesting.
What does it all mean?
I just put it out there that I want shoes, and they just like, I get shoes. They just show up. It's the craziest thing.
I've done one post on Instagram, and I have 1 million followers.
If you're a crazy hot 27-year-old woman, like the world is
magical.
It really is.
It's just things just appear constantly.
It's so good.
And so then you get like some guru guy talking about this and that horoscope, and of course you're gonna buy into like magical thinking. Things are magic's always happening around you. You're invited to everything. Everyone likes you. It's crazy. And
It's so good.
And so it's such a weird space.
Right.
And especially these days, it's like the whole guru sphere and everything. It's like, I know I look like a guru, but oh my God, the number of psychedelic influencers and stuff out there. So anyhow, I go there. I end up, one night, I drank a little too much at some party. And I was like, you know what? I'm gonna straighten my life out. Like I have this whole Vegas thing coming up. I can't be getting drunk like this. And so I'm like, I need a reset. I haven't had a psychedelic experience in a little while. And I was like, I have this stuff 2CB. It's this research chemical, this famous research chemical. Maybe later I'll tell you the background of that. But it's basically kind of, to keep things short, it's kind of a mix between mushrooms and MDMA, but it's also it's like a clear-headedness. So you get visuals of mushrooms, you get like the heart opening of MDMA, but you get a clear-headedness that you don't get with most psychedelics.
So a little bit of that confusion is gone.
Well, are you disassociated a little bit?
Not really. No.
What's the delivery system on something like that?
Liquid.
So it's often in
drop
pills.
Oh,
This
okay.
happened to be in powder, and I was like, and I didn't have a scale with me, and I was drunk, and I forgot how dose dependent it was. I forgot that it was. So I measured out, and I was like, you know what I'll do, because it's late. I'll just snort a line of it so that it
I'll just go to
kicks in
sleep. I'll be
quick
fine.
faster, and then it will wear off faster.
Quicker picker upper.
And so I eyeballed a line of what I thought was like the same amount of MDMA that you do.
Do you remember when you eyeballed that turn in Wisconsin and you ended up in a field
off the cliff?
Yeah. Remember when you eyeballed the jump off you're not good at eyeballing.
And you were impaired by alcohol.
Oh, yeah. I didn't say
this is a cautionary tale.
Yeah, listen to this story about how smart I am and good at decisions.
No, that wasn't the setup.
Like,
was
hey,
it?
you guys want to hear a crazy story? I'm telling you
That wasn't a
crazy
lesson at the
story
end.
right now. I'm not like, hey, everyone, get out there and snort too much 2CB. I have nothing but cautionary tales. So anyhow, I snort this thing. And then, it usually would take like about an hour to kick in. So I go to sit down to twiddle my thumbs and wait. And a minute later, just everything's like womp womp womp, and my cardiovascular system just starts going insane. I'm like, oh, I'm gonna have a heart attack. I just overdosed.
This is it.
I googled it. I'm like, oh. Whoops, I just severely overdosed, and I was like, maybe I should call these girls. They live in the same apartment building. They're in the space. They can come and trip sit me or whatever, but I don't know them
they can
well
manifest
enough.
me having more life.
Yeah. And I was like, I should call an ambulance is what I should do. I think I'm going to die. I should call an ambulance. I decided to get in the shower and wait it out. It was I can't see any. The visuals are so intense. I can't see anything. My thinking is still clear, and I'm just clearly thinking I'm definitely going to die.
What a weird
tonight.
mixture of clarity and
Yeah.
But is it like an anxiety attack too that you're having, or not?
I think it was mostly the substances. I was like, this is...
No, but I'm saying, are you feeling anxiety?
Oh,
because
yeah.
you're talking about calling an ambulance.
I've been with you. You have a remarkable lack of anxiety that you feel. But most people, what keeps them from doing drugs is that anxiety and that going up. And I don't think your genes are right, because weird stuff happens that would have most people, and you go, this is part of the process.
Yeah.
Okay.
And so
I paid for this. I want the whole experience.
I got through it. I didn't think I was going to. I got through it. The next morning, I go downstairs. They have a coffee shop in their library and everything. And so the girl comes up to me and she's like, "How was your night last night?" And I was like, "Oh man, I actually drank a little too much of this. You guys almost got a call from me because I almost died in your apartment. I didn't have a scale and I severely overdosed on 2CB." And my now girlfriend goes, "Oh my God, you have 2CB? do you want to do 2CB tonight?" And I was like, I am into this lady.
I am into her.
Yeah.
She's good for me.
it needs a good street name though. If it's so fresh, we need to come up with one.
2CB.
A double cheeseburger.
We're coming right back with Shane Mauss. Let's talk a little more with Shane Mauss. For those of you joining us a little later, we've been talking to Shane Mauss. We don't do this with all of our comics. You know the ones that we do this with, we have extra appreciation for. We ask Shane, come in, hang out for a full 90 minutes. It's fun because Shane is now at a level 2 where he has people. his people, is your PR
Got a
person reached
publicist.
out and was talking to me. And
A lot of people these days.
yeah, and it's fun. Well, I always appreciate when they're doing their job and they're doing a good job, and that helps me out, right? It helps all three of us out. And so I never want to be
Thanks,
because
Sheila.
And Sheila was great. She was very polite, very nice. But I also didn't want to just be like, Sheila, I've got his number. I'll just write him. I didn't realize he's in town. You know what I mean? Like that's
Let her do her
and,
job.
And yeah,
Yeah.
you understand that. So I was just like, hey, I'd like to have Shane in from like let's just have him come in at like 8:20 and then just hang out for the rest of the morning. And she was like, well, that's a pretty long time. And I was like, he's done.
You don't understand.
And then
yeah.
she was like, does he need to know anything? The address, whatever. It's like and then I realized, I'm being kind of flip. I'm probably hard to deal with right now because she's like, why won't you just give me the information? And it's because in my mind, I'm like, because
don't need it.
I can remember Shane coming in here still hammered from the night before and going, oh wow, I was like, we're going to all work out and be okay. You continue to flourish. Things have been going great. Shane is going to be at Esther's Follies, not part of the Esther's Follies show. That would be incredibly awkward to have you in there and little musical numbers about the border.
Might be interesting.
Could be. But his stand-up show will be,
Is that what their normal shows are?
yeah, it's like song parody and sketches about Texas politics and things like that. Did you never, in all of your days living in Austin or going by the Velveeta, did you ever step over and watch a little bit of the Esther's Follies show?
No.
There was a time when I probably could have done every sketch they have. I could have recited it from memory.
That's funny.
Because I spent all those years at the Velveeta, and you know all your friends' sets, and sometimes you're like, I need to see something else.
Yeah.
And it is. I don't mean this as it's going to be a backhanded compliment. It was beautifully mindless.
Yeah.
Does that make sense?
Yeah.
It's.
Yeah.
There was like I think they did a song about jalapeno, and queso, and salsa, and margaritas.
Oof.
And
I just know it from South by Southwest.
Right.
I've done it, always uses it as a venue.
Right.
I love the stadium seating and everything.
yeah.
They have a nice screen for me and whatnot. But yeah, no, I had no idea that's
it's pretty remarkable. It's pretty remarkable. Shane's going to be there. We've determined that there may be one or two tickets available for the Sunday. There's 2 shows on Sunday. You might be able to pick one up for that. But you have added a show on Monday, the 26th. Is that
25th? Maybe. Yeah.
Anyway, it's Monday. We don't need a date. You know how it works. You all know where Monday is, and that show I think is at 8:00. That sound right?
Yeah, sounds right.
Ish.
Something like
Hey,
that.
look, you all can do the work. Shane Mauss, MAUSS, ShaneMauss.com. You can pick up tickets there, and we got a little more time to hang out with Shane. It's funny.
7:30 on Monday, and it looks like there are just a few tickets left
for Sunday.
For Sunday, yeah.
You were talking about your girlfriend. I don't want to get you in trouble. I don't know how to approach this.
Yeah. The 4:20 show sold out. The 7:30 Sunday, there's still a few tickets left.
Well, I wonder why the 420 show. What's happening on 420?
I really have this shtick dialed in.
You really do. You really do. I was just saying that we were saying that that scene, and you hit it so succinctly. I was like, wow, there are always pretty girls around psychedelics, and you just said, yeah, because for the world. I mean, for a pretty girl, the world is just always magic.
Yeah,
and
there's like the psychedelic space just has like a lot going on. They got the gurus, they got the kind of wellness stuff.
Okay,
they got
lots of colors.
How do you feel
tie dye?
How do you feel about the rise of the Instagram self-help?
It's a
guru first of all, let me ask you a question.
Is there a famous
Can I
one?
ask you a question? Do you take cold showers in the morning?
No, I don't. It is.
Are you doing any Wim Hof's breathing exercise?
Do you do
Wim
any
Hof,
grounding in the morning? Do you go barefoot in the grass at
Tan your
sunrise?
perineum.
I do like barefoot, but I
That's just because you're a hippie and you find shoes to be restraining.
Yeah, that's all. But yeah, it's not like a practice of mine. Certainly, there's definitely there's the in the psychedelic space. There's always been kind of there's been the mystical side of things. There's been your cliche like Woodstocky-ish hippie, but then there's also been like the little bit of the yoga kind of. So it's always been evolving, and then there's been like the clinical, more buttoned up like Johns Hopkins and like the Multidisciplinary Association of Psychedelic Studies kind of spearheading some of the more modern psychedelic research, and then there's like the underground side of those things, and then there's like the plant medicine people, and so the newest one is definitely like the optimizer. They're the people that are like the
nootropics.
There's like Andrew Huberman would be like more on like the
optimizing and how to
ish side of it. Yeah. I think he can't make up his mind if he wants to be a serious scientist or a guru.
Well, I think for Andrew, I think for not just saying out Andrew, but for anybody, success usually brings a lot of people telling you nice things, and it also brings money. And I got to be honest with you, I don't know how hard it's so hard to stick to your morality. When people want to throw not just money, like a paycheck, but unbelievable sums at you.
Oh, yeah.
Literally unbelievable. We're not even talking like, 100,000, 200,000. We're talking in the millions.
Yeah.
We want to, do you want to change the life for all of your children and their children as well? It can be a very tricky space. You are really into science and bringing and helping to explain science to people in funny ways. And I wonder how annoyed you must get because scientific education is pretty terrible in this country.
Yeah.
And it allows for what I can see as being complete and total junk science to flourish right now on social media. TikTok and Instagram and YouTube being the heads of this, where I give you an idea that sounds plausible and good and easy and digestible, and I go, this guy knows what he's talking about. But if you know the science behind it, you know that the guy is full of absolute and total stuff.
Yeah, and there's a lot of there's a lot of conspirituality mixed in with the modern guru sphere too, because now you're, like you said, you're getting a multi-million-dollar deal to like be the lead scientist at this and that supplement company, and so now there's even that much more incentive to be like, hey, you don't need a doctor or anything. Like what you need is like this $400 a month subscription to like this miracle cure sort of thing. Yeah, it's the same stuff that's been peddled our whole lives. But what the new one seems to be is it's like people with biceps, and it's great that people are exercising and more whatever, but it seems like there's some weird version of like OCD that people are celebrating now, where it is like you got to wake up at 4 a.m. every day or your competition's getting ahead. You got to like and now it's getting into the psychedelic space because now there's like microdosing is like this,
right?
Which is like.
I don't agree with microdosing. I think it's like a little
bit dubious. But I don't know what microdosing's doing. But it's a way of mitigating liability when you tell people to like, hey, do just enough of this stuff to not do anything to you, and then you go like, and then do the ice bath thing in the morning, and then you get to the window right before the sun rises, so you can do like intermittent blinking or whatever as like the sun absorbs into your eyes in the right way that's going to release neural jargon in this way that's going to make you immortal and good at financial trading. And there's something about, I think that the two biggest challenges for any mammal is the ability to predict and the ability to control things. Those are the two biggest stressors. You take away your ability to predict or your ability to control.
That's why we stay in tradition,
environment.
As humans.
Yeah, and so a lot of like superstition and routines and stuff kind of come as like almost a placebo effect to mitigate the stress of those things. So to me, it seems like a lot of these Instagram people, they just come up with these insanely elaborate regimens that no one's actually going to be able to follow. They're just doing steroids themselves or whatever.
Yeah. Oh, like that Liver King that got caught. Yeah.
Yeah, and then it's also like then it's if it doesn't work for you, then it's like, oh well, you must not have done one of these steps along the way. You're only ever going to get the rewards. You know, the couple people that benefit from your program are going to be like, this changed my life. The people that it didn't work out for, well, they just must not have. They must not.
They
have
didn't pray hard enough. They didn't eat hard enough.
And so that's just a story probably as old as time, but the way that it looks in our modern world is it's a lot more like there's a lot more like jocks. Like it's like now it's like a Navy SEAL microdosing mushrooms or whatever is the new version.
It's really a good time to be in the guru space right now because we haven't had a murdery guru in a while.
Yeah,
you know what I mean? It's only going to take one to flip the whole thing upside down, but we've really not...
but you mean like a mass murdery guru, like a guy on a punch card,
right?
Because if you pay attention on Netflix, every third documentary now is about a guru, a cult that has come. But the guru space, I think what happened is gurus used to love being loved and power, but gurus have learned, you can also just have sex with lots of people, and that I think they've really gotten into.
Where are the positive cult stories?
Yeah, I mean, I think that we're probably not too far away from another. I mean, a lot of the modern, like these type A gurus that are having a moment right now they really are like very American Psycho-ish in a way, you know, like these very regimented ways of it, and you know there's some dark stuff going on there probably.
All of it kind of touches into, I think, shortcuts. One of the things I think that where I respected you early on, you were on here, and this is over a decade ago, and we were talking about DMT. That had been a space that I really wanted to get into. And you remember one time we had a date that had to break because I happened to have a newborn at the house, and my wife said you were absolutely not
doing.
You are not, and I was just like, but I want to go to this little, and it's not forever. It's just like 15 minutes, and she's like, what's wrong with you?
Yeah.
But the thing is that just because you become a parent doesn't mean you are ready to be a parent yet, and that's the space I was in early on. Right, I have grown since then. Have not changed my desire to take that trip, but I remember one time we were talking because DMT was real new to people in discussing, and people were like, "This is the molecule that you create at death, and could this be an answer?" And you came in one day and we just said, "So is this the afterlife? Are you peeking into the afterlife?" And you just said, "Nah, man, you're just getting high, bro." I think people are just getting high because at the time people were really trying to sell this idea that this was a God molecule, and we were discovering it. And you kind of just like, I think all of this is just it's kind of really fun to get high, and I'm not saying you can't learn from it, but don't make too much of it. It's just you're just doing drugs.
Here's how bizarre the psychedelic space is that I'm kind of known as the grounded guy. Psychedelic space, like the reasonable one.
Yeah.
You're well adjusted for the amount of trips.
Remember, Shane doesn't like shoes and he lives in a van. He is the grounded guy in the psychedelic space. But I think we do look for shortcuts to understanding, and that is where a lot of this stuff comes in. The gurus, the idea. Remember, I'm a smart guy who isn't educated, and I don't like the fact that educated people are flexing on me, and now I've found what seems like math online, and now I can say, well, the earth is flat, and now I can dunk on you, the scientist, and because I've shortcutted my way around to being better than you. That's what the appeal is there, is that shortcut. Also, when we have...
There's like a treasure hunting quality in human nature, too, where everyone wants to feel like they found like the magic little...
One of the reasons we police other people's language so much, and that's become such a popular sport as of late, is to go, he told a joke that is offensive, or he needs to be... And part of that is, that's my shortcut to sanctity. I can now promote myself as a better person because I found you making a mistake. Let's not talk about any of the skeletons in my closet. I just can't say to the population, look, I found one, a mistake. I am shortcutting my way to sanctity there. And it is, I think it's probably always been there with humanity, but we can talk to each other much faster all around the world now with our as Bob uniquely named it, our story machines, and created all that. And I think sometimes that's what's happening with our drugs, too, is that we are trying to shortcut our way to some understandings, but sometimes understanding really is a lot of life experience, and you have to live it to get there.
Yeah. I mean, certainly these psychedelic experiences, something like ayahuasca or DMT or 5-MeO, DMT, the frog medicine or whatever. I mean, these they are extremely intense experiences that are hard to explain, and I do think that there's an aspect of our minds that will quickly jump to like kind of magical thinking given any opportunity to believe in some sort of hope for an afterlife or something like that. It'll quickly jump to that, but it's just there's a lot of the first people in that space have like these highly regimented like routines and beliefs about them. I wonder if that will change as they just like marijuana used to be like Cheech and Chong or whatever.
Right.
Yeah.
It's like, well, that was the first people like really promoting it were a different type of person. And then will that normalize over time? I don't know.
We're going to put a link for Shane Mauss's show on our Instagram stories. You can find it there. Shane, thank you so much for coming in, man.
It's so good to see you.
Anytime you are near Central Texas, please drop in, because I know...
I'm sorry it was Sheila that reached out and not myself.
Not at all. Hey, dude, you are... No, hey,
Big
dude.
time.
You're allowed to have your people, my man. You earned it. Shane Mauss, fantastic guest. We have NASCAR giveaways tomorrow. You definitely want to tune in because we haven't given them away in the last 2 days, which means tomorrow, big winning day if you want to go out
And we're
to
back to
NASCAR
the brackets,
Coda.
right?
Yep.
The song brackets and everything?
All of that and more. We're not going anywhere. We are continuing to have a blast here at KLBJ.